What is going on, everybody? We are live for the 254th episode of the Xbox 2 podcast. Actually on time for a change because the managing editor, Jez Corden, was actually here on time. We had everything set up. It was so beautiful. But I'm your host, Randall Thor19, or one of your co-hosts, and with me is Jez. What's going on, buddy? He's a little bit tired today, folks. You got to pep him up a little bit. So
yeah, I'm a little bit tired, but we'll get through it. We'll get through it, man. It's been a long week. It's been a long week because Microsoft had a big event not about gaming, but it was a big deal for us, and we actually, Daniel Rubino actually went to Redmond,
really,
to Microsoft headquarters, which is something we ain't done since the pandemic. And it's the first time one of us has been up to Microsoft HQ since like 2018, 2019 or something like that. So that was quite novel and interesting. But yeah, big things are happening in the Microsoft world. So yeah, it was a long and difficult week, I suppose. But we got through it, and it's Friday, and we're here to rock out, chill a bit, talk games and gaming, and Activision, FTC.
yeah.
Stuff.
Oh wow, the best stuff. You know, my eyes rolled into the back of my head when I saw all the stuff and all the discourse surrounding the Xbox
CMA.
Activision stuff, and I just literally, I felt like my soul rip out of me because it was like, oh yeah, guess what? This is gonna be the big talking point on the show this weekend because we're gonna have to talk about it. It was just like, I just want to die. I just want to just want to die. Like I don't even want to do the show because I don't want to talk about it because it's so stupid at this point. I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, we actually like There are some interesting points about this, and I think there's a lot of confusion out there. So maybe we can clear some of that up. So I do think it's worth talking about this week. But yeah, it's been an interesting week in gaming. I am inundated, Rand. Inundated.
Like that word. Love
awesome games.
Yeah, you were telling me.
I can't talk about them.
No, you
on
can't.
The show,
no, you can't. But still,
but
it's exciting.
Inundated.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. They're all good.
Yeah.
Every game, I've got like a bunch of games, review codes ahead of review that our team's working on covering, and they're all good. They're all good. And then Super Metroid Prime Remaster just dropped out of nowhere. Game I've been waiting literally years for, and I'm like, man, I don't have time for this right now.
Yeah, no, you're
what are you doing?
You already don't complete any games. Now you've got more games piled on top of it. So
it's absurd. I haven't even finished Dead Space.
Jesus,
I haven't even finished Dead Space, man. It's crazy out there right now. But yeah, you had a good week. You been all right, Rand?
Yeah. I've been doing good. I've been playing these games, and reading a new book and all that sort of stuff. So, it's been an interesting week. I wasn't on social media much this past week. I love it when you take a break from social media and you just don't even bother looking at it. But then I see like Twitter is going to implement some sort of, you can only tweet like 4 times a day or something. Like, I don't think that's true because that would just kill the platform. But I was just like, man, like what is going on? But either way, thank you guys so much for being here. This is Xbox 2 Podcast. If you're on YouTube, make sure you're doing us a big favor and hit that like button. Let's get it up there. I don't know, 500, 600 before the end of the show would be fantastic. And tell your friends that we are indeed live talking about the week's big news. And if you're listening to this later on Spotify or Google or Apple or wherever iOS you listen to it, make sure you give us a 5-star rating or 1-star rating if you really hate the show. So we're gonna really kind of get into everything. We're not gonna beat around the bush. We're not gonna just go on tangents because Jez is a little bit tired. I know you guys expect a 4-hour show, but Jez literally was pleading with me before the show, please can we just have a short. He's like, I'm really tired, I'm so tired.
What's we do? Maybe you wipe me up. You need to wipe me up. You need to help me, Rand. You need to help me.
I'll do my best. Because we got a lot of things. We got the Patreon questions. We got all the topics here. We do a show once a week, and we like to give people a show. So that's they're here for 4 hours during their work day on a Friday, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. What time is it in the UK? Like 8 p.m. So it's like everybody could be here. So Yeah, make sure you hit the
Let's
like
rock and
button,
roll.
subscribe if you're new, and let's get into the housekeeping. We do have, it's the same old sponsor we've had for like over a year and a half, and people tell me that they love when Jez does these ad reads for them. So, Jez, take it away.
Ad read?
Yeah.
Ad
Make sure you
read?
do it in your American accent
Oh,
as well.
okay.
Let's go.
Okay. Let's do an ad read. Because Rand, once again, we're sponsored by Manscaped. Newsflash, gentlemen. Valentine's Day is almost here, and by the grace of Cupid, our friends at Manscaped are coming with the best tools to get your boys downstairs ready for the special occasion. Get ready for love time this Valentine's with a selection of great gifts to maintain your testicular prime. Ball toning gel, ball deodorant, and ball trimmers. Rocking premium quality at affordable prices. Did I mention affordable prices? Xbox 2 listeners get 20% off and free worldwide shipping with our epic promo code XB2. That's XB and the number 2 in the checkout. Turn Valentine's Day into Valentine's Yay with Manscaped.
Yeah, that's pretty. Valentine's Yay, is that the best you were? You sure that wasn't something Chat GTP came up with? Because you were saying you were trying to get them to do your job for you.
Dude, seriously, I was trying to use AI to write this ad read, and the AI's ad reads were garbage. They were terrible. So I was like, okay, well, I'll do my own ad read, but I'm too tired to think of rhyming. So I was like, give me a list of words that rhyme with Valentine's. And he just gave me a list of random words that didn't rhyme with Valentine. So I was like, okay, what rhymes with Valentine's Day? And then the only word I could think of was yay. So we go with that, I suppose.
Jeez.
But yeah, Manscaped, 20% off. Promo code XB2. Loads of great stuff. Body wash, awesome. Their shower products are really good, and their boxes are really good.
Don't they also have beard
beard
stuff coming, or beard stuff soon? Something?
Yes, they got beard stuff now in America, not in Europe, sadly.
Sadly.
So I'm itching to try out their beard stuff.
I bet you are.
I've got a big beard, and it needs a lot of product. So yeah, Manscaped, get that stuff to Europe, please. And I'll rock that promo code XB2 in the checkout. Thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring this video.
Yeah, thank you. And we also have the wonderful people at patreon.com/XB2. We're almost at 300, which is incredible. We should do something. We should make a goal if we get up to 300 or 400 or something. We are thinking about our next guest. We are tossing around some ideas. That'll be later in the month. But next week, we should be having Xbox 2 Ultimate, which is just me and Jez. So that'll probably be on Tuesday, or one of the days next week. But we also got the shout-outs, which I get to do this week because Jez loves doing the Manscaped stuff. So I'm going to give a shout-out to these wonderful Patreons. We have Chris Pernice, Tharsman, Hey Blinken, The Bearded Tales, Sleets, Army Dude 52C, Mr. Butter, Jeans, William Schumacher, Ryan Kipple, Foreign Object, Mythic Marty, Tyler, Gunstar 75, Moronic Donkey 99, C Money, Mario Kart Madman on YouTube, Makazilla, Haters Will Be Haters, Randall Thor 19, gotta shout myself out, of course, Silas, Eric Gregory, Elijah Vasquez, James Moore, Fly Eagles Fly. Well, I guess we can see we have an Eagles fan. Hoping to win the Super Bowl this weekend. Kate Chirax, Ricky Flynn, Bright Tundra 1, Jasper Shapp, Joseph Campbell, Jez's first only fan sub, Mr. Joanna Dark, Justin Duell, Frank Marino, Probo King, Justin Miller, Asa T, and Madison, Untidy Tim, Grizzly Mofo OG, Governor Grimm, DZ Huffin, Justin Sego, Andrew Courtney, Wagerman Achievement, The Scarecrow 121, Darren Tropy, Prof JJJ, Butterball 8, Ghostface Killer, Wolfgang, KPZ, and Ralph Wiggum. Thank you guys for all your incredible support. And this week's producer, Patreon producer, is Mario Kart Madman. The link to his channel is in the description, and he wants you guys to know that they're giving away a Nintendo Switch Lite, I believe, on February 15th. So head over to his channel, give him a sub, and the information will be in one of his shorts. So thank you guys so much for all your incredible support on Patreon. So with that said, let's get into everything, Jez. We're moving. All right.
We're moving along. We're moving along.
Yeah.
I need to timestamp here.
Oh yeah, you need to timestamp it all.
timestamps.
Yeah, for the people listening later.
Yes, I didn't timestamp the guest show this week, and people were not happy about it.
Really?
So yeah,
they didn't want to listen to the Grubster.
Yeah, well, not without timestamps. I need to get those timestamps in. We'll get the
bro.
timestamps
We did like 200 and how many episodes with timestamps have we done now? 10 maybe.
Yeah, something like that. But we did.
We literally did.
Hazardor doing them.
Well, yeah, true. There was a bit, but we literally did like 240 episodes. 240 years worth, multiple years worth, without any timestamps. And I know, like, you know, and now we're doing it's like now I can't go back. Got to skip around the podcast, find the things we want to talk about or listen to.
Why can't they develop an AI that does timestamps?
I think YouTube actually has that. If there is something in YouTube
really?
behind the scenes where they'll be like automatically generate certain things, like breaks
how
and
would
stuff.
It know? How would it
that's
know?
the thing. I don't know. I have no idea how
okay.
it'll know. But we have. I saw Darge Knight became the newest member of the channel. Good to see you again, Darge. Hope you're doing well, buddy. We have a member chat here from John G. He says interesting. Or listening to Rand and playing Hogwarts Legacy is the best Friday of the year. Yes.
Awesome.
I hope you're having a great time playing Hogwarts Legacy. Jake, he says in the super chat, I just ended the first week of my new job and I'm starting off my weekend with the boys, Rand and Jez. Can't wait to listen to this fantastic podcast. Well, congrats on the new job, Jake. Hopefully it's pretty damn awesome. I wonder what it is. I wonder what his new job is. There we go. We got the Darge Knight with the super chat. Hey boys, ain't been in the chat for a live show in a bit, but I've always been listening. Wish you both a blessed weekend. You're awesome, Darge.
Darge Knight.
Yeah, Darge is here. Soul Reaper. Oh man, that just jumped away from me. Chat just updated. Soul Reaper says, yes, another interview of Jeremy Corden by just some guy named Randy. Randall maybe? Who cares? Love you guys. Thank you, Soul Reaper. Travis O'Leary says,
I always think of Randy Marsh.
Yeah, Travis
Randy
O'Leary
Marsh from South Park.
says, did you play Dead Space? Indeed. We
talked about it last week.
We did talk about quite a bit. We both have played Dead Space, and we both love Dead Space. More Dead Space 2, please. Dead Space 2 remake, please. I know, because Motive is supposed to be the ones doing Iron Man, which makes me more optimistic for Iron Man. Because, you don't really know.
They nailed it, man.
Well, I mean, but there's the thing. It's like you nailed the remake, right? The original game's already great. So you rebuilt this game using its skeleton. So how are you going to be able to make something that is completely unique? Because, like, there's nothing to build an Iron Man game off of. So, like, all right, you can handle Dead Space. Already seen it. So I'm a little bit more optimistic that you can handle Iron Man. But time will tell. But I really hope
I've got the Anthem flight system for Iron Man. Hopefully.
But I mean, you need more than just good flying in an Iron Man game, right? You need great combat.
Yeah.
You need interesting villains to fight against. The cool ass world. There's a lot of things you can do.
True.
And hopefully they do it well. And then please give me a Dead Space remake too. I need it right now. Like I am salivating at the thought of replaying Dead Space 2. So we have Replicant. He says, best wishes to my pal Fletch. Been an emotional roller coaster of week with the CMA and the ABK. Definitely people are coming out of the woodwork.
And we're gonna be getting into that in a bit.
Yeah, I'm sure you have a lot to say. LeBurn98 says, GamesRadar reported today that Evil Within sequel seemingly teased in Hi-Fi Rush Easter egg. Thoughts? I actually did see that the screenshot shot today. Did you see this, Jez? This is definitely an article you should, or somebody should be writing at Windows Central.
What was that, sorry?
The screenshot.
Oh, about the Evil Within.
Yeah, did you see it?
Yeah, I did. We actually did cover this.
Really?
Before. But it slipped under the radar, I think, a little
bit.
It
certainly did,
because the article didn't get any traffic.
Oh. Well,
maybe I need to go back and update it.
Are you sure you actually wrote an article for it? Because
we did. We wrote
with the screenshot
about
too?
Evil Within Easter eggs in the game, but not the tease for the. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll probably go and update that article and bump it with the tease.
So for those of you
Yeah, tell him what it actually is.
So there's a screenshot, or at least a part in the game, where I guess you're trying to get to Kale's office, and it says 776 on it, on this like computer screen. But at the very bottom, it says today's weather good enough, which is good enough here in Chicago right now. But then it says news, and it says sequel to popular survival horror game franchise announced. Now it's Bethesda, it's Tango Gameworks. There's Evil Within 1 and Evil Within 2. It is what they're known for. And people have been speculating if there's going to be an Evil Within 3. So they're sort of teasing it here. Does this mean Hi-Fi Rush takes place in universe with Evil Within, Jez?
Well, it's really funny because the detective Castellanos, I probably butchered his name, but the detectives from Evil Within 1 are actually in Hi-Fi Rush.
Yes, they are. They're hilarious too.
So yeah, maybe it is in the same universe or something. Because like if you know the plot of the Evil Within, like a lot of it's in their minds. Maybe Hi-Fi Rush takes place in one of the patients' minds. I don't know. But anyway, I really hope that Evil Within 3 comes along and maybe goes a little bit more traditional survival horror, maybe rather than the sort of the crafting stuff from Evil Within 2. I don't think worked that well, but I don't know. Well, hopefully we'll find out more about that sooner rather than later. More super chats, Rand.
Yeah,
see him flying in.
Jez from Randy G. He says, I just received my S23 Ultra. What do you think of the phone? I will test it out this weekend.
Ooh, yeah, I got the S23 Ultra, the Samsung Galaxy phone, to replace my aging Galaxy Fold 3, which the battery life's just shot on it. So I thought I'd take advantage of Samsung's trading deal. I got like $700 off. Well, in dollars, I suppose it's more like $800 off the asking price by trading my phone in. Because Samsung really locks you into their ecosystem, because it's like you can always trade your phone in, So okay, I'll trade my phone in, and it is an amazing.
I have a
phone.
question.
It's really
because
amazing.
I think it was Marquise Goodwin, or I forget who, but he posted like a video of him at night, basically using the camera to zoom in and taking a perfect picture of the moon. Is the camera really, really that good on that phone?
Everyone's taking a picture of the moon with this phone. Literally,
is it literally a picture of the moon as it is, or is it actually using like Google stock images to replace? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like the zoom on it is ridiculous, and it does have this like artificial intelligence like enhancing night mode thing. And I haven't tried it, and I'll tell you why I haven't tried it. There's too much light pollution where I live to even see the moon most of the time. So I won't be able to test that until I go to Germany. But I did take a picture of a squirrel in the garden from like 10 meters away. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. But yeah, it's a pretty amazing phone. And yeah, it's a phone. At the end of the day,
it is just
phones are kind of boring now.
Yeah,
they're just so incremental, like from phone to phone. But oh well.
Isn't there a war going on between Android users and iOS users? As worse, or
a war?
Isn't there like it's kind of like the console war, PlayStation versus Xbox versus Nintendo, but it's iOS versus Android? Or Samsung versus iOS or iPhone?
I don't think no one's really that invested.
Really? I don't know. I also hear,
they used to be, but
what the worst
anymore.
is like sneakerheads, I guess. I remember Matt Piscatella talking about that, like the sneakerhead wars, like maybe like Adidas versus Adidas, as you would say, right? Adidas or Adidas.
Yeah, Adidas.
Versus Nike and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know.
I the problem is I don't really care about phones. I have an iOS, what is this, 14, I believe. The problem I have with it is this thing, I'm literally charging this every single day because the battery does not last whatsoever. And it's like, do I really need a new phone just so I can have a better battery? Like, I don't need a new phone. It works perfectly fine. Outside the fact this thing dies, runs out of juice. It's like, It's like, I don't need.
It's kind of where I go in my Fold. I mean, batteries degrade over time, right?
But that quickly?
Jeez. iPhone 14 is pretty old.
I mean, what do you mean? It's 2 years old. It came out in 2020. It came out in 2020. I got it in 2020.
Oh, well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. iPhones are kind of notorious for that
battery
degradation.
Very, very notorious.
Yeah. Get a S23, man.
Yeah, but then
S23 Ultra,
I
bro.
jumped from Android to iOS, and now I'm gonna jump back to Android. Might as well.
Yeah, bro.
We have a super chat here from X Burke. If possible, I would love to know the band and the song title you play before the show. I'd have to look into that because I have the information somewhere, but you aren't the first person. It's something free thing.
It's a free song from YouTube, isn't it, or something?
Something like that.
We can find out what it is.
Yeah,
we'll find out what it is.
It is a cool song. It gets me pumped every time I hear it. I heard it and I was like,
really
oh,
cool.
That's
really
got to
like
be, it's got to be the intro. While people are waiting. Which hopefully you guys are happy that we started on time because Jez was here early. We had everything set up, everything good to go. There was no mistakes with OBS, and it was like, all right, we can actually start on time. And by the way, on time is 2:15, which we've been starting at or trying to start at for literally 5 years now. This is going to be the 6th year. So when people say, "Oh, they're 7 minutes late" or whatever, nah. As long as it starts at 2:15, the show's on time. Or as long as we appear on screen, not like the music. It's just lately we've been later because Jez shows up like a diva, with his glass martini, drink in hand, and he's just like, "Are we ready to roll?" And I'm like, "Really, Jez? We got stuff to." Anyways, Fletch says, "Can you tell Replicant from me that he's an L? Also, what he said about me is lies. Thanks, guys." Apparently, Replicant and Fletch are fighting.
Beefing. They're beefing. Oh dear.
They're beefing indeed. Soul Reaper says, is anyone else here looking forward to Wanted Dead that comes out on Valentine's Day? The game looks awesome, but I'm not hearing very much about it. I believe my buddy Gopher is looking forward to that game. I believe Wanted Dead is the new game from Itagaki, I believe, the creator of Ninja Gaiden.
All right.
I think that's his new game.
I haven't heard of this.
But I haven't heard of it.
Dude, what the hell? There's just too many games.
Right? Because I think it's because since Dead Space came out, so it's been like Dead Space, Hi-Fi Rush, Dead Space, right? Forspoken came and went like a fart in the wind, right? I don't think anybody even remembers Forspoken came out. Remember that was supposed to be the big game, one of the big games for this year? Nobody even talks about it anymore. It just came and went like that, just gone. Right? Only the smell just remains.
Did you play that?
No, I didn't play that. I had no interest in that game whatsoever. Then you get Hogwarts Legacy, which everybody's super huge, and then you got Wild Hearts, which is EA's answer to Monster Hunter, right? You got Atomic Heart coming out soon. You have Metroid Prime Remaster just dropping out of nowhere, right? You have all these games that are all really good, it sounds like. And then here's this one game that really doesn't get any press, Wanted Dead, I think is the name of it. And it's from Itagaki, and it's like, yeah, nobody's probably going to play it or buy it because nobody's covering it because there's other stuff, and there are other great stuff to play. So, oh well. Does anybody has anybody in chat even like know about this game? Like I know about it because my buddy Gopher is like, I cannot wait to play because he's such a fan. But does anybody else in chat even know about Wanted Dead? Anyways, we have a super chat here from Face23BKNY. He says, Jez, the CMA says Microsoft internal documents admit that putting games on Game Pass leads to sale cannibalization, but Phil Spencer has told the public Xbox Game Pass games lead to more sales. Lies of P. Uh-oh, Jez. It's calling Phil Spencer a liar.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. If you go back and look at the way they frame some of this stuff, when they're talking to the press about things like Game Pass boosting sales, they use specific language. They don't speak in absolutes, right? Which is what you do when you're marketing something. Speak in absolutes and you're trying to claim something as a fact. It kind of makes you liable. But when Phil's talking about that, he'll say things like, "We've seen that it can lead to boosted sales," and I know that's definitely the case. That it can sometimes lead to boosted sales. But he's not out there marketing the product to developers saying it will definitely boost sales of your game, because there's certainly examples of that where it doesn't happen. I mean, you could argue that Hi-Fi Rush is an example where the Game Pass drop probably did boost sales because it generated a load of hype for the game, word of mouth, virality, and all that kind of stuff. But there's definitely going to be scenarios where it does cannibalize sales of a game, you know? So, yeah, I guess, depends on the semantics, really, about how you want to take what Phil's comments,
Yeah, well, there's also
So, yeah.
people also bring up Phil's comments from 2018, specifically when it revolved around State of Decay 2, where he was like, "Hey, State of Decay 2 topped the charts, MPD, and how could that be? It's in Game Pass." And I think there's a difference between Game Pass in 2018, which was brand new and didn't have a lot of subs, versus
People didn't even know what it was.
versus like Game Pass now, which might have around 30 million subs, and most people seem to know what it is. Where it's like State of Decay 2 could have seen a boost because at that point Game Pass probably only had a few, maybe 5 million. I don't know back in 2018 what it would have had versus now. So yeah, I don't think they ever tried to say like, you definitely for sure, if you put your game in here, it will definitely increase your sales. I don't think that's necessarily true, but I think it can help sales. Like High in Life recently, huge success on Game Pass. The game even got up to like number 3 most played on Xbox, and then sold extremely well on Steam. Hi-Fi Rush is doing similar things, and the Shadow Drop is one of those. It helps because it's like, oh, you can play it and you can play it now, and it's good, and millions of people are playing it because they can just access it with that. So it's probably less now where like, oh, you put your game on here, definitely increase your sales elsewhere. But it's funny because the CMA did use some certain things to kind of throw back in Microsoft face, and it seemed like the CMA wasn't too interested about Game Pass in general. That wasn't where their concerns lies. But the one thing we always talked about was like, hey, Nintendo, right? Like Nintendo, you forget about Nintendo, and like I thought it was just funny. The CMA just basically threw Microsoft's own words back about Nintendo to them. Because, Microsoft's like, hey, Nintendo doesn't get Call of Duty, and they're doing perfectly fine. And then the CMA is like, yeah, but even from your own, like, vice president or whatever, and your public comments about Nintendo, that they don't really view them as competition. So it's like they're using their own words, back at them. It's like, yeah, but you said here in the court trial versus Epic versus Apple that Nintendo was a competitor, but to a much lesser extent than Sony is. And it's like, oh man, coming back to haunt Microsoft by saying those things. They should have said, yeah, Nintendo's a big time competitor, but I don't know.
Oh man, it's like, man, I often think about what kind of person you'd need to be a lawyer. I think you'd really have to love your job. And if you didn't love your job, like the sort of mental, it's almost like playing chess with someone. You're trying to outwit the system and your opponents and all that kind of stuff. It's like you'd have to love it. I think it'd drive me crazy. I think it'd absolutely drive me crazy. And I like the mental fortitude that Microsoft's and Sony's lawyers must have dealing with this crazy stuff is just beyond me. But
yeah. We have super chat here from Bright Burns. Leguizamo was offered Vulture first, but he passed. I'm assuming he's talking about like Spider-Man or something, which is I didn't hear that. Face also says, Jazz, Microsoft right now has more studios, IP resources, and money than both Sony and Nintendo, but still can't compete. In my opinion, they don't need Activision. They need better leadership and management. They bought studios in 2018.
Well, I mean, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. But what are you going to do? They're buying better leadership and management. Bethesda's clearly, better run than Xbox Game Studios. Generally speaking, right now. And like, if you look at Activision's Q4, they're massively up. More people playing Overwatch than ever. Warcraft's got better user retention than ever. So again, they're buying better leadership there. So maybe it ends up being Xbox ends up being led by Bethesda and Activision instead of Xbox. They're growing a platform here at the end of the day. So yeah, you have to remember Xbox is a subdivision of Microsoft Gaming. They actually made a new department at Microsoft called Microsoft Gaming, and Bethesda is there, Mojang is there, Xbox is there, and Activision will be there as separate entities, essentially, or limited integration entities, or whatever they're called. So, we'll have to wait and see how it goes. But I agree with everyone, and I don't think Rand would disagree either. That Xbox Game Studios leadership has a lot to prove and a lot to answer for. Because at the end of the day, it was Xbox Game Studios that should have had oversight over Halo Infinite becoming the mess that it did. We've talked about this extensively, but we'll see what happens.
You see, I also kind of like face isn't necessarily wrong, but I also, if I was Sony and Nintendo, I'd view that as a compliment. That in order to compete, Xbox was so far behind, they had to spend $77 billion on two publishers to even get close to where Sony, even get close to where Sony is currently. Like they had to spend $77 billion, $7 billion for Bethesda, and then another $70 for Activision Blizzard just to even pull even with where PlayStation is currently at. I mean, I think even now, without Activision Blizzard, I believe Xbox makes more revenue than Nintendo, at least if I remember correctly. They probably don't make as much profit. I believe Nintendo...
purely because of Microsoft. It's purely because of Minecraft, probably.
Well, yeah. Well, Nintendo is also a very profit-driven company, right? It's basically the only stuff they make. So Nintendo makes good money, and they don't really have a lot of expenses. I think they actually make more profit than PlayStation as well. But, I mean, everybody knows what happened. Xbox basically almost destroyed the entire brand during the Xbox One gen. I mean, they thought they were thinking about, like, literally selling off Xbox and shutting everything down. That's how bad it was. I mean, you can't overestimate like how detrimental what they tried to do and the backlash against them. I mean, that goes a long way to it. Sure, because the 360 and the PS3, the Xbox gave PlayStation its best shot during a gen where PlayStation shot themselves in the foot too with an overpriced system and no games. And eventually they come back because to most people, gaming is synonymous with PlayStation. And Microsoft really screwed themselves over. And now to even, pull back up, they got to spend all this money. So if I was PlayStation, or even if I was a PlayStation fan, I'd be like, damn, that's a compliment. They had to spend $77 billion to even pull equal potentially with us. And there's no, there's no like, what's the word I'm looking for here? There's no guarantee that they even would pull even, right? Yeah, so it's just to be even, you got to spend all that money. That just shows you the hole that Xbox was in. Really, they had to go out and buy two publishers potentially to do it all. But yeah, there will have a lot more to talk about the Activision stuff later. We have a super chat here from Bright Burns. How much is a PR nightmare Ezra going to affect Flash? Well,
this is a random question, I think.
I mean, I don't know. The movie. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to go see the movie. I'll wait for it to come out. And, like, James Gunn is rebooting the DCU anyway, so I don't know how much any of that matters. So maybe a little bit. Dreadful Sean says the studios they bought in 2018 would just be wrapping up games they started work on post-merger this year or next 5 years for game development now for AAA games. I also kind of look at it like they acquired a bunch of those studios, but a bunch of those studios already were working on projects. Like, they acquired Ninja Theory, who was already working on, what was the game they put out? Bleeding Edge. They acquired Obsidian, who was working on Outer Worlds, as well as Grounded already, right? Pentiment, I think, was pitched before the acquisition. In Exile was working on Wasteland 3, I believe. Compulsion was finishing up We Happy Few. So it wasn't like they bought all these studios and they had a clean slate and could immediately start working on games for Xbox. It was like they bought these studios and like they also had to wait for them to finish up the games. Like Double Fine was finishing up Psychonauts 2. So, and as, people have reported, it takes a long time to make video games these days, right? Especially AAA video games, 6 years, 5 years. So it takes a long time, which is why you need so many studios because you need content for Game Pass, and games take a long time. So to offset that, you need as many studios as you can possibly get your hands on, or many different teams within a studio so they can make many different games. And that's the whole thing. So, yeah. Anyways, time to talk about what we've been playing. So,
Yeah.
I'll go first. I finished the second playthrough of Dead Space, Jez. So not only did I beat Dead Space once, I went and I beat it again immediately right after. Well, it was all fresh in my... Because that's what I do, bro. Because, honestly, because I wanted to see the alternate ending.
Oh, you have to play it twice to get the alternate ending?
In the New Game Plus that the game has, so I played the first playthrough on normal, I played New Game Plus on hard. The game spawns 12 marker fragments or little marker statues throughout the game. You can only get them in New Game Plus. And if you collect all 12 and put them on a table in chapter 11, you'll get an alternate ending. Now I was like, all right, cool. I'm not the type of person who would look up that sort of stuff on YouTube. I was like, all right, I love Dead Space. I can also get a couple more achievements while playing through it. I only have one achievement left in the game, which is to play an impossible, but I just don't have time to get it. But I was like, I'm going to play through it once because I can probably go through it a lot faster in New Game Plus with all upgraded weapons and knowing where everything is. So I did. I beat it again and got the 12 marker fragments and saw the alternate ending, which definitely speaks to, definitely speaks to Dead Space 2 for sure. But yeah, so I spent a lot of time playing that, and I finished that, I believe, on Saturday. And then it was just waiting for Hogwarts Legacy because my game share partner bought the game. So I was like, all right, because I wasn't really sure if I wanted to play this. Even though I'm a Harry Potter fan, I've read the books and seen the movies. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to play this myself. I certainly didn't want to spend whatever it was to play it early access. And I was just like, I don't know. I'm not really sure if I want to play this. But my game share partner texted me. He's like, I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy. I can't wait to play this. I'm buying the deluxe version so I can play it Monday. And I'm like, all right, cool. I guess that means I can play Hogwarts Legacy. So I did. I started playing it Monday night. And I've put so far about 25 hours into the game. And I'm quite enjoying it. It's much better than I thought it was going to be. I know you've put a little time into it, so give me your thoughts before I go in kind of more detail for what I think. What do you think? Because you've played it for a little bit. In fact, you also sort of think it's kind of boring. If we're being honest, right here, we got to be 100, right, Jez? That's what you always say. Uh-oh, I think we lost Jez. Yeah, I think Jez maybe dropped from the call, or I don't know. Maybe oh, there you are. You're back.
Oh, maybe I disconnected for a split.
You went like robot voice for a second, and then just stopped.
Yeah,
nothing.
There's something wrong with my connection. Like I've been getting disconnected in games and stuff at the minute. Trying to get it fixed, but anyway.
But Jez, you always say you always got to be truthful and 100. And you said you thought this game was kind of boring in a way.
I did, yeah. Like, I haven't played it that much. I think I'm about 2 hours in or something like that. I explored a bit, and I went to Hogsmeade, I think it's called, the little town, and like the walk to Hogsmeade, I was just thinking like, ugh, I'm already bored and tired of this game. I don't know, like the whole sort of like doing schoolwork and the school, and there's something about the school environment which just saps the life out of me, and especially because it's a British school environment, it really reminds me of being back at school in a way. So I kind of like, I don't have that sort of Harry Potter. I'm not a Harry Potter fan, never have been. Maybe I was a little bit too old for it when it came out. Kind of like Rand was too old for Pokemon when that came out.
True.
And so I was a little bit too old, so I never got into it. I never read the books. I've seen all the movies, but almost begrudgingly in a way. So I Yeah. Alvin Alvin said, not enough gore, it's shy to Jez probably. Pretty much. That being said, I kind of like you, expected it to be much worse. I expected it to be janky, I expected it to be buggy, I expected it to be ugly, and it's none of those things. You know, the combat segments that I did try, um, you know, felt good and looked good and performed well. And I thought it was like, man, clearly a lot here, you know. And like when I was walking to Hogsmeade, and you can look out across the lake and you see the castle and Hogwarts and all that stuff. It's just it's so authentic. It's such a labor of love, you know. And I just sort of like, even though I don't know if it's a game for me, I'm gonna go back and give it a better try. But
No, you won't. Come
when
on, be honest with yourself, Jez.
I will.
No,
I
you
will.
have so many other games to play. You are not going back to Hogwarts Legacy.
I will maybe. But where in the middle of trying it out, I got review codes for a game that I'm assigned to review. So if someone else did our review for Hogwarts Legacy, I think we gave it a 9 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10, something like that. Someone did our review for Hogwarts Legacy. Then I started reviewing something else, another game which I'm playing in the minute, which I can't talk about, which is awesome. And then I got a code for another game that's coming out pretty soon, which is also awesome. And I'm like, damn, I'm trying to review this game, but I really want to play this other game because it's really awesome as well. So there's just no room in my life for Hogwarts right now.
And there never will
Physically,
be. Jez. There never will be.
There might be, Rand, someday. You know, Odysseus 123 says you've got to at least get your broom. You know, I want to see if there's like more to it. Like, you know, can I bully people? Can I be, because I picked Slytherin, right?
Yeah.
Because I want to be that blonde kid from Slytherin. What's his name?
Draco Malfoy. Yeah.
Malfoy. I want to be Malfoy. I want to beat up the Hufflepuffs and the
the Ravenclaws,
and the Gryffindors. I want to beat them up, and you know, like a true school experience, a true British school experience. Take them beyond the bike shed and, you know, give them a kick. Can I do that?
I don't think so. It doesn't seem like you can bully the students per se. But you can learn the unforgivable spells like Crucio and Avara Cadavra or whatever, the killing spell. You can learn those to use against enemies in the wild or whatever. But you can't really like bully your schoolmates. So you really haven't really touched the surface of it. I've put 25 hours into it, right? So
what was the spell? Hang on. The last two Harry Potter movies were quite dark, weren't they?
Yes, yeah, Deathly Hallows.
I quite like those ones actually. And there was a spell in that where you can make someone bleed. Can you get that spell?
I don't know if you can get that spell in this game.
Because that's a cool ass spell, man.
Yeah, I mean,
so you can turn it into Doom Eternal then. And just run around Hogwarts like zapping people and making them explode, blood and guts. Why isn't there a more violent version of Harry Potter?
Because Harry Potter's supposed to be for kids. that's why. So it can't be too violent, right?
See, this is why, right? This is why we need the Activision deal to go through.
Oh, okay.
Because if the Activision deal goes through, Microsoft will get the rights back for Hexen, and they can give that license back to id Software. And then we can get the real Harry Potter first-person shooter violent game that we deserve. But I don't know. That some people in chat now are gonna are schooling me on Harry Potter and Hogwarts stuff now. Wingardium Leviosa. I only know that because of that that flash animation on YouTube. Wingardium Leviosa.
Anyways, so
can you do a British accent, Rand?
No, I can't. I've played it for 25 hours. I'm like level 28 in the game. In fact, I just recorded this clip. I took an hour of it last night before I went to bed, and this was the missions that were coming up. So I wasn't really expecting too much from this game. The Avalanche, they have the same name as the studios who made Mad Max and Rage 2. It's like one's Avalanche Games and one's like Avalanche Studios. I'm not sure one this is, but this is like their first really big
studios, I think.
This is their first big AAA game because they're usually kind of been making movie tie-ins. They made like the Cars games. They made some of the Disney Infinity stuff. So like I was like, wow, okay, I wasn't really expecting much from it. But
I was confused about this as well because I was thinking, well, Avalanche made Mad Max, which is Warner Brothers, so therefore they made Harry Potter. But it's actually the other Avalanche that's made this.
Yeah, this the Avalanche that's owned by Warner Brothers because the other Avalanche is independent, right?
Yeah.
So
they're making Contraband.
They're making Contraband, and I probably Just Cause 5 or 4 and 3 or 3 and 4 are out. It's probably another Just Cause game. So it's way better than I thought it would be. Like honestly, like I put 25 hours into it in like like Monday night, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I am enjoying it. It is a true fantasy RPG, right? You got quests, you talk to people, there's dialogue choice options, although I don't really think the dialogue choice options matter too much unless you're doing this sort of quest I'm doing here where I'm trying to learn about the unforgivable curses, and you are presented with an option during it where it's like, would you like to learn Crucio? And you can say, no, I don't want to learn it, and you won't learn it. So most of the dialogue options, you can either be like the nice, perky kid option where he's like, yeah, of course I'll help you, I'm great, or kind of maybe more of like an asshole. But it is really an RPG. It is a true like RPG. The part I really like about it the most, outside of the Harry Potter stuff, is the combat. I think the combat is super enjoyable. I always have a lot of fun when I'm fighting people. Because the way the game's set up, Jez, is that you have your regular wand attacks on right trigger. You just constantly press them. But then you have your spells on the face buttons that are on like all cooldowns. And you can all combo them in really interesting ways. Like you can basically lift somebody up, hit them a couple times with the regular spell, and then like pull them towards you, hit them a couple more times, and then like cast a fire spell at them. So like you can keep people up in the air and combo for a long time. And then it sort of has
Avada Kedavra their asses.
You can learn that spell later on in the game.
Is there consequences for learning the scary spells?
I don't think so, and that's why I'm going to learn them, because it's not like you can actually harm students in the game, right? Because you're out in the open world. There's a lot of enemies walking around, just like your typical RPG. You'll just be walking around, and boom, here's 3 wolves, or here's 5 spiders, or here's some dark wizards. And you're trying to kill them. So I thought to myself, well, why wouldn't I want to learn these dark art spells? Because the whole point of it is to try to kill these enemies quicker and easier. So, like, of course I'm going to learn the dark arts. Because there's really, at least that I've noticed, there's really no repercussions so far to following in those footsteps. So, like, yeah, like, I want to kill people faster and inflict more damage, so why wouldn't I learn this stuff outside of like, ooh, it's bad, I better not because I'm a good Gryffindor, right? But the combat really is the thing that I'm really happy with. I got this like set of spells right now where it just literally just owns somebody. I basically start with the Sendo, right? So it's like you hold the right trigger, press A, and you'll slam them into the ground and they'll pop back up. And then you do the expire. I don't even know how to say these spells, but the one where you disarm an enemy, and then like whatever weapon they're holding will flip in the air, and then I can grab their weapon with right bumper and throw it back at them, and then I use Glacius on Y, which will then freeze the enemy, right? So they'll be frozen. They'll also be cursed because I invested in dark arts. So and then the next attack after you freeze somebody does extra damage, and they're cursed, so they already take extra damage, and you do this like slash move, and it like just wrecks their health, and they'll be like instantly dead. And the thing is, so like you can have 4.
Do they actually die?
I mean, it seems like, I mean, it's, they kind of just disappear or whatever, right? And they'll leave like things for you to collect. And so you can have 4 spells basically hotkeyed at once, but then if you later on you can use talent points to basically unlock other decks. So in fighting, since everything's on a cooldown, like I'm constantly switching decks that I've made of pre-made spells so I can continue the combos, right? So it's like I have these 4 spells up on the D-pad, and I'll use them. And I'm like, well, they're on cooldown, so then I'll press right trigger and press right on the D-pad with 4 new spells, and then I'll use those and then switch back. So the combat's a lot of fun. It even has like that Batman counter thing where Batman, you see the strike come in and you press right at the right time to counter it. This one has the thing with the spells where enemies attack and you have the little indicator over your head for yellow, and if you press Y at the right time and hold it, you'll block it, and then you'll do Stupefy back at them, or if it's red, you roll. So it even has that sort of a fighting thing where you need to make you can't just constantly do spells and not get attacked. You're always constantly getting attacked, so you got to pay attention. But the combat is really, really a lot of fun. And the whole like fantasy of living in Harry Potter is very well realized. Like the castle is so cool. Like I was going around searching everywhere, using Revelio spell and left on the D-pad to reveal field guide pages, which is kind of like collectibles that tell you about certain objects in there. You get XP. Hogsmeade's there in all its glory, so you can go around and buy certain things. You know, it's a typical RPG, like buy spells, potions. You got your clothing, which gives you, bonuses, right? Like that's the other thing about like this game is like most other games like it, like your stats are tied to your gear. So like you get new gear. It's kind of like Destiny, right? The game sort of gives you all this new gear that's better than your old gear because you do more damage or you take less damage. But then you reach a certain point in the game where the gear you're finding really isn't any better than the gear that you have. And then you start getting legendaries and stuff like that. And then you can like upgrade them. You can put traits in them which require other things. So it gets really into that. But a lot of the gear that I've been finding doesn't really look great. But thankfully the game has a transmog and you can just find whatever you want and constantly use it.
Rand, you can thank World of Warcraft for that.
Oh, well, thank you, World of Warcraft, for that.
World of Warcraft invented transmog, by the way.
Okay.
Just so you know. That's
so
why
like
it's called a transmog.
So it does the whole Harry Potter fantasy so well. Like in the beginning, I'm loving it. Going around the castle, going to Hogsmeade, getting into battles as it slowly teaches you stuff. You go to classes, you learn more spells. They dole things out very slowly. Anybody listening, if you're wondering when do you get your broom to fly around or when you get the spell to unlock things, like all new abilities are essentially gated by main quest progress, right? Like the more you do it, like you're constantly, like there's even like a Pokemon minigame in this, Jez, where you go around in the world and you basically rescue beasts, and then you bring the beast back to your room of requirement, which is a whole other thing where you can set it up and brew potions and you can get, grow plants, but there's like this sanctuary for the beasts that you find in the world, and you can breed them, right? You can make them happy, so they give you like magical, things like items to use. There's actually so much into this game where there is some issue I have with it is, so you have the area of Hogsmeade and Hogwarts, and it's really cool. But the map is so gigantic. I'm sure I look at the maps some points in time during the gameplay here, where the map itself is so big that I feel like the magic of Harry Potter is lost when you like go super far away. Like some of these main quests or some of these side quests be like, oh, go find someone so and so in this town. And this town's like 3,000 meters away or whatever it is. So you go down there, right? You fast travel, you find the flu points, and you get fast travel for there. You use your broom. But at that point, it's just like, it's just a regular village. It's almost like it's Witcher at that point. Like, I guess, I don't know. I guess like my ability to like sort of, like the Harry Potter fantasy is very much like present when you're in the castle and you're doing those things, and the stories are all original, which is great. So it's not riffing off another story, so you're not paying attention. This like is completely unique, happens before the movies. So it's like, all right, I'm invested, I want to know what's really going on. There's a mystery here, the combat's really cool, I'm loving the world. But the map's so big when you get to the bottom areas or areas above it, and it's just like, it's just a regular old town with just regular people, and it's kind of just like, but this could just be taken from any old RPG. I don't know if that really makes sense. And it's just kind of like, I don't really care but then that's when it becomes like a Ubisoft open world game. Because at its core, this really is a Ubisoft open world game, right? There's stuff on the map. All the stuff is on the map, like ridiculous amounts of stuff. Like, oh, here's a town, and it has chests that you can get that gives you gear. But then there's also a field page thing. But there's also a beast den. There's also a bandit troll. Like, everything's on this map, and they want you to do everything, and it checks off. So once you strip away the Harry Potter, Hogwarts magic that you see within like the early parts of the game at the castle and at Hogsmeade, you're left with a really sort of standard RPG Ubisoft style open world, right?
You're left with Britain.
Well, you're just left with your typical open world stuff. Just a whole bunch of just stuff spread out. Oh, there's a camp here with enemies that you can go do something with. Oh, there's a thing over here where you can solve a little puzzle to get an increase of your gear and stuff like that. So I think if you stayed...
I didn't know that. I thought it was more kind of linear.
No. Like, because you're still in the beginning. You're still 2 hours in where everything is taking place within the school or Hogsmeade. Eventually, It opens up. Eventually, because like the first 3 or 4 hours is very much a guided tutorial, right? After that, the world gets huge. And it sort of just becomes a Ubisoft-style open world game set in Harry Potter universe. But like I said, it's like when you go to the very bottom of the map and there's like a town with just random people and the dialogue's not very interesting and it's just literally it exists there for you to go to collect the things on the map. So that's why how
does the story progress at that point if it's not guided anymore?
I mean, I know the main quest is still guided. I'm just saying there's so much other stuff you can do in the game to waste time essentially if you want to go for 100% and do everything. Where if you just want to do
interior locations, or is it just all overworld stuff?
No, so it does the thing where you'll get to a thing in like a town or it'll be a dungeon. Like you'll hold X to load into a new area, and then that new area will be completely unique, right?
See that's one thing that's one thing specifically about Ubisoft's open world games that I don't like, because they don't really do the interior location stuff, which is where you have more control over the pacing and the atmosphere, and you can have enemies hiding and popping out, and you can do set pieces, and you can do a lot of cool stuff in a dungeon setting that you can't really do in an open world where you just copy and paste in everything, and everything's more procedural and scripted and boring, So I think open world works best when you do have those, interior locations, those handcrafted set piece areas.
Well, no, because those are cool. So, because those are handcrafted, as you say, and those are unique.
Well,
so it's like
that's okay then.
Well, yeah,
as long as it's not Ubisofty if it's got that.
Well, the overworld, like the overworld, is a Ubisoft thing. It is like there's just random stuff strewn wherever, and it's like you go to a town and you pick up some chests, and it's not any better than the stuff that you currently have, so you just sell it all anyways. Right, and there's another something else you can do not that far away, and there's some enemies over there that are just standing around that you can kill and have a good time and get your dopamine levels. But yeah, most of the main story stuff will take you to these places, and then you'll go into something, and then you'll have some fights. But really, it's the legacy of Harry Potter, and like the story it's telling. But really, the combat, the combat is so fun, and that's really what's elevating the game, in my opinion. It's like how much fun I can have with a whole bunch of different enemies, cycling through all my spells, finding new different combinations. That is what I'm really enjoying. Like within the story, within the castle in Hogsmeade, I'm like all in. And then it's all the Ubisoft open world trappings that surrounds the game for the open world aspect that I'm already getting bored of. Like there's 25 Merlin trials or however many there are. It's like, I don't care. I did like 2 of them. No, I did 2 plus the 6. I did 8 of them to upgrade my gear slots. I have no intention of doing the other 30 that are there, right? Or the ancient magic. I did 2 of those so you can fill up your combo bar and you can do more powerful magic, which is really cool. Like I always love doing them because they're very cinematic. Like different. Like, you'll be fighting somebody, you press left bumper, right bumper, and you'll call down lightning and kill the enemy, or you'll just basically shoot a huge, like a powerful spell at them, or if they're a wolf, you'll transform them into a chicken or a sheep, or it could be a spider and you'll transform it into a little spider and you'll step on them. Those are really really cool. But it's just yeah, man, it's just that like same open world stuff that all these games has, that it's just like, when I get to an area, just like, oh, I'm just gonna skip through the dialogue. All right, let me go do this side quest really quickly, and it's really the main quest stuff that is more fully fleshed out and everything. So, but
Let me ask you a few rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Can you fish in it?
Don't think so. No, at least not yet. But I'm still discovering. I just unlocked the ability to like fly hippogriffs and stuff, and I just unlocked the ability for the beasts, like capturing the beast to do the Pokemon like little mini games that they have. So maybe you can fish.
You got an open world game. You can't fish.
I don't think so.
Scrap it. You might as well scrap it.
All right, you got anything else?
Delete it. Put it in. Can you kick any house elves?
No, don't think so. I mean, you can talk to the house elves, and they're a part of the story. But
I think that they creep me out, man. I don't like them. I don't like them. Can you get a familiar, like an owl or something?
I mean, you have an owl, but it basically just it's funny because it's basically used as it gives you new quests. Like, people like, they'll pop up on your screen from the mail and be like, so and so, I want to meet you here, right? So it's a way to, like, you're finished with the quest and you don't know what you can do. You wait like 20 seconds and all of a sudden you'll have a bunch of owl mail that pops up and being like, meet me here. And then somebody will be like, meet me here. And then someone else will be like, meet me here. So now all of a sudden you got 3 new quests. So they use owl mail as a way to like deliver new quests to you. Like, you're actually getting mail from your owl. It's at least interesting in that regard. Very Harry Potter like. You can even stealth around. You can even camouflage yourself, stealth around, and instantly kill enemies, which is what I'm doing on screen right now. So there's that. You can stealth around people. So, I'm it's better than I thought it would be.
Everyone's mad because you can't play Quidditch.
Yeah, Quidditch isn't there. You can ride around the broom. I will say though, one of the negative aspects is, man, the performance is rough. No matter what you choose, like, it has 5 different modes you can choose from if you have the right TV. So you can play on quality, which is like 4K 30 with ray tracing. I tried that, couldn't do it because it just made me want to puke playing at 30 frames. At least like with Gotham Knights, there was no other option. So I wanted to play that game. There was no other option. I had to play it at 30 frames, and like, I got used to it. But in this game, it gives you 5 options. So you can play a quality of 4K 30 with ray tracing, I believe. Then there's performance mode, which I think sets it to 1440p 60 frames, which is the mode that I'm currently playing on. You also have balance mode, which is an interesting one. That's 1800p at 40 frames, right? And then you have, I believe, high frame rate mode, which is, I'm not sure the resolution, but it's 120 frames. So you have a lot of different choices. You can even uncap the
120 frames.
Yeah, you can even uncap the frame rate. As well. You can uncap the frame rate. So I was kind of going between balanced and performance, and I found that performance was a little bit better. Although, bro, in the school, like when you're in Hogwarts, the frame rate is awful. Like, I just want to get to where I'm going, and especially in certain sections where they're multi-tiered and you're just running down the stairs, like the drops or the stuttering that happens. It's like, oh my god. And then sometimes if you're really too fast, because this game you just go through the doors, and it's great. It's not like Dead Space where you need to open the doors manually. But then sometimes you go to the door and it won't open, and you look at the handle and there's like a spinning circle, and it's like the game loading what's behind the door. And you have to wait a couple seconds before you can go through. So it makes me wonder how the hell this game, what the hell is this game going to look like and run like on last gen, because it is a last gen game as well, and on the Switch, because it really doesn't perform that well, in my opinion, on these next gen consoles. But at least it offers the option of 60 frames, and for the most part in the open world, when the combat, it holds to that. It's just that when you're flying, and especially in the castle, the frame rate is just bad. So, yeah, I should finish it. I'm not going to do everything in this game. So like I said, I'm sort of bored of the open world stuff, but the story and the combat is what's holding it really, is what I'm really enjoying. So I'm gonna play through the rest of the story, maybe do the rest of the side quests, but I'm definitely not gonna go and do everything around the map. But it's definitely way better than I thought it was going to be. So kudos to them. They've made like the ultimate Harry Potter fantasy.
You should review. You should review games, man.
And we talk about
like I feel like I've learned more about the game than anyone else has told me. But I don't really read reviews.
Yeah.
I don't like reading. We've established this. I'm the world's only professional writer that hates reading. So I appreciate your insights and thank you for that detailed and thorough explanation of the game that shall not be named.
Yeah. So those are my thoughts on Hogwarts. No. So like I said, I did the second playthrough of Dead Space, and I've been mostly focusing on Hogwarts since it came out. So once I finish Hogwarts, I'll move on to another game. You know, I've been like, do I want to play Wild Hearts? I've never really played one of these type of games before. It's like, do I want to play that? Do I want to play Atomic Hearts coming out soon too? I also have some like other games, like smaller games, like Pathless just came out on Xbox, which I really enjoyed on PlayStation. I want to play through that again. Grist came out on Xbox finally. I want to go through that again. Deliver Us Mars came out, and I'm kind of interested in playing that.
Dude, what the hell? What? Why are there so many games?
There's just so many, and like Sifu comes out on Xbox in March, and I'm 100% playing that game again. But then March also has, you have what's in March? You have Star Wars got delayed, so you still have Resident Evil 4. And Wolong, which I'm definitely playing. So it's just ongoing, which is great because it's like just give me more games. So that's what I've been playing, and I've been also I finished the First Law World books, 10-book series, loved it, great. I started because people ask me, so I started Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky, which is a science fiction 3-part series. It basically is set far into the future. Humanity basically is sort of, it's not extinct, but all the humanity's left on the ship. And old humanity started terraforming these planets around the galaxy to make them more look like Earth. And they wanted to use like this nanovirus and introduce monkeys to these planets to make them super smart, so they can like seed life throughout the world. However, something goes really wrong, and the monkeys aren't introduced. And what happens is the nanovirus infects all the other creatures in the world, but some of them aren't compatible. However, there is one creature that was compatible, and that was spiders. So basically, in this book, you have humanity.
Smart spiders.
So you have hyper-intelligent spiders that are about as big as German shepherds, that are like the rulers of this planet. And you have humanity looking for a new home, like 500,000 humans on this spaceship looking for a new home, and they got the coordinates of this planet. So you're about to have the culture clash of these humans, like, all right, we're gonna live here, but you have these hyper intelligent spiders, and it's really cool because the book has like multiple POV, like 2 POVs. You have this one person on the ship who's been like around, and then you have, since spider generations are really quick, you see like the rise of when the nanovirus entered the spiders, and like how
basically Planet of the Apes but with spiders.
Well, no, I wouldn't say, maybe kind of, but then like how smart and intelligence the spiders. It's basically like an analogy of like human evolution, like spiders at their basis instinct, and then they get smarter and smarter and smarter. And like the chapter I just read is like they just like started making like hot air balloons out of their like silk and stuff, and they can like they built radios, but they haven't built the wheel because spiders don't need wheels. So it's like they've built all these sort of things, and it's like it's so like you're reading these point of view chapters from a spider, and then like the next chapter will be from the human as they get closer to the planet and whatever. And like I just imagine myself being like, you're on this planet and you think it's going to be your new home, and then you just see a whole bunch of German-sized shepherds just staring at you from the forest and just looking back at, like, that's so creepy, but it's so cool though. So I'm really enjoying it.
It's basically Grounded.
Yeah, I guess. Kinda. But anyways, that's our thoughts about Hogwarts Legacy and the book I'm reading, Children of Time. So let's get a couple of these super chats in here because they were a bit. I was talking about Hogwarts Legacy for a bit, but I mean, hey, I put 25 hours into it, and when we play games, we talk about them. Achievement says, "Are you gonna download the Wild Hearts demo off Game Pass? Monster Hunter Rise hitting Game Pass just before might help to boost the game on Xbox." No, I don't really do demos. Do you do demos, Jez?
Not these days. I mean, I used to, but I just get keys these days. Luckily. But I used to do demos. I probably would have demoed. I think it's a good thing that offering a demo of Wild Hearts because it is a Monster Hunter clone, and a lot of games that try to emulate Monster Hunter suck and fail. The Dauntless comes to mind, and Wild Hearts. I gotta be careful what I say here, because yeah, for reasons. But I think Wild Hearts is one game that will be served well by a demo. Because people who may be unfamiliar with Monster Hunter wondering like, is this a bit more for me? And Monster Hunter fans wondering if this is actually a good alternative to Monster Hunter, especially if they're bounced off Monster Hunter Rise for whatever reason. They didn't like Rise. Maybe they wanted something more like World. Maybe Wild Hearts will scratch the itch, and I think a demo is a great way of showing that.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I've never played any of those like Monster Hunter games, so I'm very interested in Wild Hearts. I don't know if I'll play it though. I don't think I can count on my game share partner to buy this one. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe me and Jez can play it in co-op, and you can because me and Jez really haven't played any games together. I think we played a few matches of Battlefield 5, but he's not on when I'm on. So me and Jez really haven't played any games together. But maybe it's like, you know what, Jez? Maybe we should play Wild Hearts together, and you can show me what's so amazing about this Monster Hunter genre you love so much, huh?
Yeah. I think. Oh man, I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it for some reason. For some reason, I can't talk about
it. Scorpion with a huge super chat. Thank you very much. He says, "Love your content you publish on YouTube. Thank you. Question: I'm thinking of buying this game for Xbox. Do you need to know information on Harry Potter first before you buy?" I think no, you don't need to know anything about Harry Potter, but it will enhance, I think, how you feel about the game. Because I know a couple friends who don't know much about it, but they're really enjoying it because they think the combat's super cool and all the different things you can do. So your knowledge of Harry Potter will make you appreciate certain things in the game more. But like, if you know nothing about Harry Potter, that wouldn't prevent you from enjoying it for its own sake, essentially. So yeah. Space Dovikin says, "I get a feeling that Fable is going to feel a lot like Hogwarts Legacy. Love you guys." And it's interesting because I was thinking sort of along the same lines. I was like, man, Playground Games is going to have a lot to live up to because people have been talking about Fable for years. It was announced in 2020. It's 2023 right now. You have this huge RPG, Hogwarts Legacy, that is very fantastical, based off of a well-known mammoth of an IP. And I was thinking to myself, man, Fable's going to have a lot to live up to because not only is the world going to have to be beautiful and lots to do, a lot of cool quests, but you're going to have, combat's got to be really great too, right? And I know a lot of people are like, when you talk about Witcher and Witcher combat, there's definitely the people that are like, oh, the Witcher combat's good, and other people are like, Witcher combat sucks, right? So
there is this sort of gulf with Witcher about that.
Yeah, so it's like Fable's like, all right, man, the combat's got to be great, because the combat is really the glue that's holding Hogwarts together for me, because it's a lot of fun, and it's just like, if the combat's not
Fable's
fun,
the glue that's holding Hogwarts together.
No, I said the combat is the glue that is holding Hogwarts together.
Yeah.
For me, so it's like Fable. The combat's got to be really fun, and the world's got to be super interesting. The dialogue and the story that you're doing. So yeah, they have a lot. I mean, it's also, like I said, been announced for over 3 years now, or 3 years. It's like there's a lot riding on it, right? People look to Playground Games as maybe the best Xbox studio. So, and
I lost some of that core talent recently.
Yeah, like 5 people that left to go join their new studio or whatever. So,
Man, there's a lot of people that don't like Witcher combat. Like people
There
saying in
are
the chat, I loved Witcher's
a lot of
combat.
people don't like Witcher
Am I
combat.
crazy? I loved Witcher's combat. Like cutting dude drowners in half and stuff. It's amazing. I love Witcher's combat. I really don't get that take at all. I really don't. I prefer it to Assassin's Creed combat and most other action RPGs combat. I don't know. The thing that I hate about The Witcher was the itemization and the sort of progression system. That was really bad, and you can feel it in Cyberpunk as well. Like the itemization is really bad. Like that your character ends up looking like a clown and stuff like that. The Witcher was the same way. It felt like there's not a clear path to gearing in that game. But I don't know. Going off on a tangent here, but a lot of that's I am super intrigued what form Fable will take. I'm hoping it's less Ubisoft and maybe more Elden Ring, where they do like it's an open overworld, but they do these like interior locations like castles and the academy and all that kind of stuff, where you can have these pacings and secrets and set pieces and boss battles and stuff like that. So I guess we just need to wait. We need to wait and wait some more. Wait some more, baby.
Eventually. Well, there's a Fable topic we'll talk about in a minute. Study Flow says, damn, sound like Rand will like Forspoken as well. I mean, maybe. I haven't played the game. I just, it definitely seemed like reviewers didn't like it, while they seem like reviewers like Hogwarts. So maybe. He also says, Jez, you can kick enemies in Forspoken and they explode like a boss. And I think you can play that on the Windows Store.
Yeah, the thing, like Forspoken's combat looks pretty good, but I ain't paying $70 for it.
Yeah. And we have our buddy Special Nick is here, Jez, from Xbox
Special
Era.
Nick.
They have a big interview with maybe Seamus Blackley, father of Xbox, if he ever he shows up or if he stiffs him. He says, stop telling people I'm giving up on GoldenEye. I'm still playing it. There's too many bloody games coming out. I'm struggling to juggle them all. You know what that smells like to me? It smells like excuses.
Oh.
It really does.
Oh.
And then the other thing, Nick, Special Nick, I saw one of your tweets where you're like, game of the year, like, man, already this year dropping a game from 1997 and a game from 2000. When did Prime come out? 2004, 2000,
something like that.
Something like that. Like game of the years. The thing is, Nick, you have to beat the game for it to be considered a game of the year. Last time I looked at your profile on Xbox, you were just busy playing Rocket League, and I looked at GoldenEye and I was like, maybe he's finished GoldenEye already. He's playing Rocket League. And I looked, and you had like 2.5 hours in GoldenEye, and you only had like 5 achievements. I was like, man, he's really not playing GoldenEye. So much for Game of the Year. He won't even play it. He's playing other games, and now he's playing Metroid Prime Remaster. Will he even go back and beat GoldenEye? I saw Gaz got 1,000 gamer score in GoldenEye, and he didn't talk that game up at all. He just literally was like, I'm here, I beat it, I'm done, great game, moving on. But like, he also didn't talk about it for 7 months like you did. You were constantly talking about GoldenEye, and then it finally comes out, and since it's been out, you've played it like 2 hours. How is a game that you only played it like 2 hours how's that game of the year? How's that a game of the year contender? I'm lost to words. I don't understand.
Oh dear. Let's stop bullying Nick.
I mean, he came in here. He started it. I'll bully it about GoldenEye. The thing is, you may say it's a game of the year contender, Nick, but guess what? Nobody else will, because by all accounts, it is a bad port of the game, and you might be the only one who's really liking it. At least Metroid Prime, because Jez, you also been playing Metroid Prime. That's a remaster. That's another thing you've been playing, right?
Yes, I was gonna say that. Like we were talking about what games we've been playing. I talked about the games that I'm not allowed to talk about that I've been playing, but I did play a few hours of Metroid Prime Remastered, because and it's really hilarious because I literally tweeted out last week a sort of semi-viral tweet that got over 1,000 likes. There isn't a universe where I would pay $70 for a Nintendo Switch game, and then Nintendo comes out here dropping Metroid Prime out of nowhere, and I instantly buy it. And yeah, it's not $70, it's $40, but if it was $70, I probably still would have bought it because this remaster is absolutely stunning. It's stunning. Like, if you played the original with the sort of awkward kind of controls, they've modernized the controls. They've given the graphics a really nice polish, 60 frames per second, atmospheric as hell. Metroid is just so damn good. And it frustrates me, because I'll put my Nintendo Switch into storage every now and then because I'll be like, I'm done with Switch now. I'm done with Switch. I'm not playing anymore. And then they'll come out of the blue with like these really good games every now and then. And it's like, oh no, I've got to get it out again, set up the dock, plug it back in. And they suck me back in, and they've done it. They've done it with Metroid Prime Remastered. But I got a ton of games I've got to play for work at the minute, so that's not going to get a look in. I barely been playing World of Warcraft either. Like, I've had to skip a raid because I was too busy.
I love how they shadow drop Metroid Prime.
Yeah, so good.
Digitally, because I think the physical copies don't come till later. So that's one of the things you run into a problem with shadow dropping something that has a physical release is because the physical stores the physical copies will stop at the stores and people start taking pictures, right? But not if you delay it, where it's like the game's out now and the physical copies will be out three weeks later or whatever. So you can get the surprise of. Also, people don't want to wait. Let's be honest. That's the FOMO about Metroid Prime. Oh my God, Metroid Prime Remaster! It's something that's been rumored for literally years now, right? I need to get it now, and it's like $40 digital, I believe, is the cost, right? Which is, pretty expensive for a remaster of a GameCube game that's not a remake. Although it's interesting because me and you had a discussion. You were like, this is a remake. And I'm like, but it's literally called a remaster. They literally call it the Metroid Prime Remaster. It's not called the Metroid Prime Remake. It's called a remaster. But I've seen some videos. A remake
because it was in my head, the game looked nowhere near that good.
Well,
so I was like, this is like they've given this the Dead Space treatment, where it's sort of like it's a remaster in a way, but it goes a little bit further than what I would consider a remaster.
Does it though? Does it really though?
But yeah, but then I went and looked at the original, and it's like, oh, actually, it didn't look that bad. The GameCube games hold up pretty well, I think.
Well, it's the art style and everything. Nintendo games usually hold up pretty well, anyways. Xcoin says, "I don't believe in FOMO." Well, I mean, you may not believe in FOMO or fall victim to it, but plenty of other people do. And I'm sure there are plenty of people that were like, I can wait for a physical version of Metroid, but it was like, nah, I can't wait 2 weeks. I'm just gonna get it digitally. And you know what? Honestly, it had me thinking about hooking up my Switch again because I love Metroid Prime. I love the Metroid series, and I'm like,
bro.
It's like, but like you said, there's too many games. There's too many games, bro. There's too many games, and it's just like if I just hook up my Switch,
you got time,
bro. Unlike you, I finish these games, bro. I play these games, I finish them.
Yeah, because you like make your job is one YouTube video a week.
If I even do that, and that's not even really a job. It's if I feel like it.
And some of us, Rand, have to work for a living.
Oh my God! Okay? Yeah, you're right about video games. Play some video games.
Man, it's hard, man. Being a game journalist, it's a hard job, man.
But I will say no, because the Nintendo Direct was this week, and I don't know any of the other announcements from the Direct, but I did know about Metroid Prime. And I did hear about Nintendo.
You knew about it?
Well, I didn't know about it in advance. I'm saying I knew about it because that's all people were tweeting about was Metroid Prime, Metroid Prime, Metroid Prime. Nick being like, Metroid Prime, Metroid Prime. Like, everyone's like, oh my God, it's so amazing. I'm like, yeah, Metroid Prime is an amazing game. Makes me want to play it. And then, of course, the other news, $70 games are here for the Switch. $70 is here. And you want to know why? People are like, this doesn't make any sense. Why is Zelda $70? Because you're all going to buy it. And Nintendo knows it. When Tears of the Kingdom comes out, be like, why is this game $70? It's like, well, are you not going to buy it? And you're like, no, I am. It's like, that's why. Because they know every single one of you guys are going to buy the game. Nintendo can get away with it. And what's worse is Nintendo games never go on sale. At least you can be like, Sony games or Microsoft games, they go on sale. Microsoft games you can get on Game Pass for cheap. Sony games go on sale too, right? Nintendo games never go. Nintendo games hardly ever go on sale.
They do sometimes.
Hardly
they have
ever.
A wish list system,
Go right now and look. Go on Amazon right now and see what the price is for Breath of the Wild. I guarantee you, it's probably still $60 right now.
That probably.
Or Mario Odyssey. It's probably at least $50.
Right, let's test it. Right, what was it called? Breath of the Wild, Nintendo Switch. It actually is on sale. $10 off.
Oh my god! So what is it? $50?
It's $50.
$50 for what? Is it a 6-year-old game at this point now?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or that's the physical version. You can also buy a digital code for $40.
There you go. That's better
on Amazon. You can buy Breath of the Wild for the Wii U for $40. Breath of the Wild came out on the Wii U.
It sure did.
I did not know that. I did not know.
It sure
that.
did.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I need to play this. Like everyone's saying, like Breath of the Wild is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and I own it. I bought it because everyone said it was great, and then I never played it because I'm a moron. But everyone says like Zelda's like the second coming, and I don't have time. I don't have time.
Yeah, there's not a lot. Well, did you see Rare sort of making fun of the talk? Because I guess. I haven't seen the trailer for Zelda because I didn't watch anything from the Nintendo Direct because Nintendo means nothing to me, as you guys all know, right? Outside of Metroid. And did you see Rare's tweet, Jez, the other day?
Which one?
Or I guess I'll bring it up. I'll go to Rare.
Was it the Banjo one?
Yeah, it was the Banjo one. They said, fan favorite, don't question it. Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts is available to enjoy whenever you please via Rare Replay, Game Pass, and backward compatibility. Just felt compelled to remind everyone, that's all. Not prompted by anything in particular. And obviously what they're referring to is the reaction to the new Legend of Zelda game, which a lot of people were saying looks a lot like Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. For whatever reason. I don't know why, because I said I didn't watch the trailer. I don't know if it has to do with like the ability to like make cars or make stuff, but I did see people on Twitter being like, hey, Banjo-Kazooie did this, or, I'll be interested to see what people say about this game and what they said about Banjo back in the day or whatever. So.
Interesting.
$70 are here. Nintendo did say that they'll price each game, case by case basis, but I would imagine their big games like Zelda will be $70 because everybody's going to buy them. The next Smash Brothers will be $70 because everybody will buy it. The next Mario Kart will be $70 because everybody's going to buy it.
I swear down, if they make the next Pokemon $70,
of course they will. Everyone's going to buy it. What do you mean? What do you mean if they will? Of course, Pokemon's one of the first. Everybody's going to buy the game at $70.
But it's such an indie game.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, by then maybe the next Pokemon game's actually on stronger hardware and actually runs decently.
It doesn't matter though. Like it's not about that. It's the corners they cut, man. It's the corners they cut that make it feel like it's not anywhere near approaching AAA. Reusing sprites from Pokemon Go and stuff like that. I even bought Pokemon Scarlet because I'm what I'm like with Pokemon, and I haven't even played it. I'm part of the problem.
You are part of the problem.
I'm part of the problem. It's my fault, everyone. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I'm a terrible person, terrible gamer. Rand, what do I do? How can I repent for my gaming sins?
I don't know.
What can I do? And chat, what can I do?
What can Jez do?
What can I do? What can I do?
Tell him. Let him know. We got a super chat here from Onyx saying Xbox should shadow drop Stalker for the devs. I mean, the game's got to be finished, and they've marketed a lot of Stalker too, so I feel like shadow drops are sort of... People are like, they need to shadow drop Starfield or Stalker, but it's like, they've been marketing these games already. A shadow drop is you literally know nothing about it and it's available. Hi-Fi Rush is a shadow drop. Metroid Prime Remaster is a shadow drop. Starfield is not a shadow drop, and neither would be Stalker 2. Like, you know.
If they just shadow drop, if they did launch it with randomly during an event though, that'd be pretty sick. I think.
I mean, it would be cool. Although, I mean, we're getting close to the Super Bowl. Hey, my marchers, my Starfield marchers. Are you starting to feel a little bit? Is there going to be a Starfield ad this Sunday for the Super Bowl? Right? Because that's the whole thing.
So.
It's going to be a Starfield ad. I heard people on Twitter. Starfield ad. March 23rd released. You starting to feel the heat a little bit? Is Starfield coming out in March? Or like, what's going on? Where are my marchers at? Where's Pong Soul at? Leader of the March Cabal. Dead Planet says, could some planets in Starfield have nods to other games? Potentially. I mean, does Bethesda do stuff like that, Jez?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Starfield have nods to other games within it, like other games, there are other games or whatever.
Does it?
I'm saying could it? He's asking could it?
Oh, could
have
it?
Other nods?
Could it? Maybe. I think they've said that it's in a separate universe. It's like supposed to be our universe.
I have to take this phone call again. I'll be right back. Take some questions from the chat.
Rand taking a phone call? Man. Okay. Chat, you got to support me here. But I don't. Yeah, I can't remember if Starfield is in the real world or if it's in like a Bethesda world or Fallout world or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's its own world or it's like linked to a different timeline or continuity or something like that. I don't know if they'll put Easter eggs. They probably will. I mean, the game's going to be big enough, right? But yeah. Man. Yeah, guys, give me some questions in the chat while we wait for Rand to come back. Sweet roll joke in all Bethesda games, says Master Jazz. Yeah, maybe we get a sci-fi sweet roll joke. Here comes Starfield doom and gloom from the chat. Says only on Xbox. Yeah, there's a lot of doom and gloom. And Jay says, here comes Jez panic time. Yes, Jez is panic time. I actually don't feel very panicked right now because I'm so tired that I can't feel any other emotion. I feel only the weight of slumber bristling in my eyes right now. Jez, can you ship me a bottle of mayo? Says only on Xbox. I don't know. Can you ship food? Isn't it illegal or something? Freakazoid says, how good is Wild Hearts? I can't tell you, but oh boy, just check out the demo. That's what I would say. Jez, do you think Rand is talking to Butts or Dick's Electric on the phone? I think Rand's talking to Butts Electric right now. I think, yeah. Love to ABK acquisition channel in Xbox 2 Discord from James Rigg. Thanks for the super chat, buddy. Yeah, we have a channel dedicated to the ABK deal. I completely forgot about this channel actually. I never actually check it. Probably should check it, given that it's my Discord. But if you guys want to join our Discord, I'm just going to drop it in the chat, but it's discord.gg XB2 podcast, / XB2 podcast. At least I think that works still. I don't know. I guess you can try it. Jez, do you clean your Xbox by opening it? AMG says, I have never opened my Xbox. I'm scared to do so. Maybe it's something I need to explore though. Because I do see that question coming up. And there are like loads of big holes in the top, which probably do let the dust in. I don't know. It's interesting. Only on Xbox, did you all talk about Bobby Kotick? No, we didn't talk about Kotick yet. I think we'll talk about the Activision stuff next when Rand gets back from talking to Butts Electric on the phone. Highlander says, Jez, how can business get done with CMA in the UK? We're going to talk about that in a minute. So hang tight. I need Rand for that because that's a lot of brain juice is going to be poured into that topic. Risk it for the biscuit with the $7 super chat. Thank you so much. Starfield, April 12th, International Space Flight Day, and National Grilled Cheese Sandwich Day. Yeah, I often see this. A lot of people think that they might tie Starfield's launch date to an International Space Day. I'm of the opinion that Starfield's going to drop in June. I think Starfield's going to drop in June. Even though I've got a bet that it gets delayed beyond June, I I think the latest information I've got suggests June to me, but we'll see. We'll see. Simon, Wolong, awesome. Uh, can I talk about this? I've experienced a preview build of Wolong a few weeks ago, and this is with regards to preview build, not the review build. The preview build I experienced a few weeks ago was pretty damn amazing. Pretty amazing. So I'm very excited for Wolong. We actually have a preview up on Windows Central from a few weeks ago, so hopefully, yeah, go and check that out. Achievement says, "Did you ever, Jez? Did you ever try the Tajin?" Yes, I did. I actually had some today on my cucumber when I was eating my spaghetti. It's very lovely. It's become a cornerstone of my salads. I use it on salad a lot. Jez, have you ever watched Raid 1 or 2 or The Night Comes for Us? No, I have not. But I watched Heat last week for the first time, and that was absolutely awesome. Jez, do you think the deal gets done in time for Diablo drops into Game Pass day one? Probably not, Mr. Kleenex. I don't think so. But I do think once the deal is done, we get Diablo straight in there. Probably. Because Diablo is going to be one game that really will benefit from Xbox Game Pass. Rand is talking to Jim Ryan, giving him Xbox secrets, says Ricardo. Man, where the hell is Rand? How can he possibly do this to me? Just leaving me high and dry in the middle. Man, he better be called by like the Queen or something. Oh no, the Queen's dead. The other guy, the King. He better be on the phone to the King, King Charles. Is that his name? Or something, because this is untenable. Untenable. Jez, are we ever going to get the Mega Man Battle Network collection? I don't know. Capcom's another one of those companies that is a bit hit and miss when it comes to Xbox. I guess we just need to pester them on social media to get that stuff there. Silly Mikey says, "Do you have a Discord link that works?" Okay, so that Discord link did not work. Sorry about that. I'll put a new Discord link in the chat, and I'll also put one in the description on the YouTube video, on the Spotify and the podcast service description, so you guys can join if you want to. But yeah, here's a new Discord link. Give us a dirt, Jez. What is Roundhouse working on? Says the Beer Baron. Roundhouse being the ZeniMax, the mysterious ZeniMax studio. I have literally no idea what Roundhouse is working on. No idea. I have no. Sorry about that. I have no real sources at Bethesda and ZeniMax. Really. So honestly don't know. I have no idea. Jez, did you do your research? Do you now know who John Malkovich is? I still don't know who John Malkovich is. I still don't know. Still don't know. Jez, have you personally seen Starfield gameplay that others have not? No, YC, I have not seen any Starfield gameplay that isn't already out there. But if anyone listens to this podcast and wants to send me some, please do so at Jez at windowscentral.com. Thank you very much. Jez, with all the behind the scenes info do you have a tick I had for Project Dragon from IO Interactive? I'm just going to pull it up here. Actually, I'm going to see if I can find it in my little secret box of tricks. I got a secret box of tricks with all interesting documents in. So let's see if I can find it now. Oh man, was this one of the ones I didn't sort? Okay, well I can't find it off the top. I can't find it. Oh, I just found a blue dragon eye. That's interesting. I don't have. I can't find it off the top of my head. Oh, am I a robot again? Am I back, guys? Oh man, Rand's really screwing me here. Yeah, my connect. There's something wrong with my internet. My internet's really bad. Can you guys hear me again? I'm gonna have to edit this down because of Rand. Thanks, Rand. I'm gonna put that in the timestamps list. You're back. Jez got caught up by Phil Spencer as he was talking about IO Interactive. Sorry about that. Yeah, okay, guys. So what I was saying about IO Interactive, and this was in response to a question. I can't remember who asked already. I've already forgotten. Yeah, IO Interactive. So based on what I read about Project Dragon, based on a document that's a couple of years old now, Project Dragon sounds really, really, really good. Sounds stunningly ambitious. Like, it sounds like they're really going for something quite big. That being said, this was also sort of like the initial design document where like they throw everything in the kitchen sink into the project. And it's kind of like, this is the game we want to make, you know. So like a lot of the features that they're written in that game could end up being cut, you know, over time. You don't know. But the game that I read about sounds absolutely awesome, you know. They specifically talk about Diablo, they talk about Warcraft, which makes me think it's going to be an MMO. They talk about needed Microsoft server technology and Azure, which makes me think it's, you know, dedicated servers, always connected game, and, you know, there's going to be social hubs and all this kind of stuff. I'm not sure if it's going to be like a sort of third person action game or whether it's going to be like more like Diablo or something. I think it's probably going to be more traditional, you know, third person camera action game.
I'm back, by the way.
But that sounds really exciting to me. I need to dig up the file.
Jez, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Where the hell did you go?
Family emergency. Family emergency.
Okay, well, I forgive you then.
Yeah. Well, normally I wouldn't answer the phone when it rings, but saw the number and I was like, okay, this is gonna be something.
Okay. Well, you all good now?
What'd I miss? Everything should be okay now.
Yeah, we were just having a little chat. Me and the peeps. Me and the peeps, you know? Me and the peeps.
All right.
Yeah,
so,
rock and roll. Should we... I think I got all the super chats.
Okay.
Can I just check that? What's the most recent one?
Risk It for the Biscuit. Starfield
Oh,
April
yeah,
12th. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We got the super chats.
Yeah.
Should we move on to a new topic?
Yeah. Let's talk about Fable and Compulsion Games stuff, Jez. Did you hear about any of this? What do you make of it? I guess maybe I'll set it up, right?
Yeah, go on then.
So the report is that the new Fable game is in a playable state, mainly because of an update on LinkedIn. From a producer, Vija Gill's profile reveals that he prepares facilities and regular game playthroughs and build reviews with key stakeholders. But I guess like he updated his thing and was like basically, yeah, you know, he basically is showing the game playthroughs and to key stakeholders, which would be Microsoft and maybe people at Playground or whatever. Which, you know, I don't know what that necessarily means. I think I saw today where Remedy said Alan Wake is playable from start. Alan Wake 2 is playable from start to finish, and
they're in the polish phase.
Well, I don't know if they're in full production phase. I would imagine that game's not probably coming out till October. Something tells me like Halloween time frame, so they expect it to come out this year. But it wasn't so. So you have the stuff with Fable, basically in a playable state, but I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means in regards to how far along it is in development and how much longer it still has. You know, my thing was I wasn't honestly, I wasn't really expecting it till the end of 2025 at the earliest anyways. No, the end of 2024. When realistically, it's probably more a 2025 game, but I just don't know. That's the problem with Xbox Game Studios. You don't really know, right? You know the games that are coming up now. You don't even know when Starfield's launching. And they have all these games that they announced in 2020, but you just don't know when they're targeting. You know, we've been talking about Avowed for years. I couldn't tell you when Avowed. I mean, everybody was so sure Avowed was going to be at E3 last year and that it would be releasing this year. And, well, it wasn't there. And it doesn't look like it's going to release this year. So it's really a guessing game at this point about when to expect certain games from Xbox to release. Because I just don't know. Like, yeah, you could have all the project names in the world, but when it comes down to locking down release stuff, it's more difficult. But it wasn't just Fable. So Fable's supposedly in a playable state. Who knows what that means? Who knows how long between now and actually releasing? But Compulsion Games Project Midnight is in a playable alpha build state. And this also
How
comes...
do we know this?
From another LinkedIn update. People have been just scouring LinkedIn to stuff, but I guess one of the developers, the narrative director of Compulsion's game, her name is, see if I can find it. No, they don't mention it. Lisa Hunter. She said in her LinkedIn profile that she oversees narrative design and script writing for new IP, collaborate with the other departments to ensure gameplay and narrative are aligned, took the project from pre-production to a playable alpha build. And hey, you're even mentioned in this article on GameRanks. This latest update may well be in relation to Compulsion Games' unannounced Project Midnight, which was first revealed by industry insider Jez Corden on Windows Central.
Oh wow, that's me.
According to Corden, the game is supposedly set to be a third-person action title, quote, set in a dark and fantastical world. He continues by noting that the project is described as a coming-of-age title that takes inspiration from America's Deep South. The game is reportedly single-player only experience and will focus on a southern gothic world with beast magic and a strong story. Included in Corden's articles are a number of concept art pieces depicting the main character, as well as other pieces from the upcoming project. Man, they actually source you pretty good. They even give a link to you, too.
That's very, 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 very kind of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's intriguing. I think people need to not read too much into this playable state, because I've been in alpha builds for games before, and what constitutes playable in your mind, or sort of our minds as customers, is probably far removed from reality. So like, I remember I was in the Friends and Family Alpha for a number of World of Warcraft expansions. Now, Friends and Family Alpha is like the alpha they put out before they even admit there's an alpha. You know, at least for the way they used to do Warcraft back in the day. And that's to the point where I remember coming into Northrend in the beta for Wrath of Lich King, and the enemies were just cubes. They were just cubes walking around, giant cubes with blue and white checkered pattern, because the monsters had not been designed yet. So, you know, playable doesn't necessarily mean we're anywhere near to the game being finished, potentially. You know, it could be that there's art assets that have got to be implemented, all this other stuff, systems, cutscenes. You know, like in World of Warcraft, cutscenes are like one of the last things that go in. You know, like that you're literally like, and every developer will do it differently, and they'll do their milestones differently or whatever. But just as an example, in Warcraft, you're literally like, you'll come upon an NPC when you're testing the game, and it'll be like, the NPC will be called Mr. Placeholder or something, and you click on him to skip the cutscene, and then a big red X will come across, insert cutscene here, and then you just teleport to the next part of the game, you know. So, yeah, like, obviously it's a good thing, because it means development's ongoing, but I don't think we can infer launch window from a playable alpha state, you know, right now. So I honestly wouldn't read that too much into it with regards to either game. It's a good thing, means the game's progressing, development's ongoing, and, you know, it's eventually going to be a thing that we can play, a real life actual product. We've been waiting since forever for Fable. We've been waiting since forever for Compulsion to, you know, put out a follow-up to We Happy Few and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I can say about it, really.
Yeah,
Do you have a take?
Yeah, I don't know. The whole LinkedIn thing where people just scour LinkedIn to find new information. Sometimes it's very helpful, sometimes it's not. Um, like this doesn't give me really any more information about the game than I had already sort of assumed. Like in my mind, I was like, oh, they've been working on this game for a while. Like I think 2024 could be a time it could release, and maybe that timeline lines up with it being in a playable alpha state. But then again, how long does it take to go from playable alpha to a playable beta state to end state to then polishing? So yeah, it's tough. But I mean, usually there's no news or whatever, and it's just like people are scouring these things, and then because literally if you type in if you go type in Fable update on Google or like Fable playable, you'll just have all this. Basically, it's just a list of the same articles with the similar head time. Fable is in playable state. Fable this, Fable that, and the same thing with Compulsion. It's just somebody wrote the article. Gaming journalism's so weird because like somebody finds this, whether it's Sloth or whether it's somebody else on Reset Era or whatever, and they post it on Twitter, and 1,000,001 gaming websites just basically write an article about it. All right. So, I mean, I don't know. This doesn't give me any more information than, anything really. I was just thinking, well, Compulsion 2024, maybe, and maybe this says so. Like I said, I'm not a game developer, so I don't know. Risk It for the Biscuit with another super chat. He says, after the layoffs, I'm not actually sure I want the ABK deal to go through. Great article, by the way, Jez. Your final word was bang on.
Yeah, I mean...
What was your final word? The fact that Microsoft and these corporations don't care about employees. They only care about shareholders and money?
Yeah, basically.
Duh. I mean, that's...
What did I write?
Capitalism, baby.
I said, if it means shareholders will be able to buy some more golden bidets for their super yachts, I guess it's all worth it.
Yeah, it's capitalism, baby.
Capitalism, baby.
It's all about inflating that number so shareholders can get a better return for their investment and poo-poo on the man, the employees that are helping to get those companies. Because these companies can afford all these layoffs. Like, they can afford these employees. It's just... I don't get these. I honestly don't get these layoffs. Like, some of the people that have been laid off just make no sense to me. The way the 343 layoffs were handled were very strange. They basically laid off half the campaign team, which is not what you want to do if you want to make a Halo campaign. Well, what if you don't want to make a Halo campaign, though?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to make a Halo campaign, fine. But they came out and said, "Yo, yeah, we're going to make Halo stories." What does that mean? Cutscenes to ring in a new season in Halo Infinite?
It could literally just be like a new story as you load up into the new multiplayer season. They specifically didn't use the word campaign, if you notice. Just stories.
Yeah, it's...
and that doesn't mean that they have to make it. They could just be the ones that are like helping somebody else make it, right? So...
Yeah. But they've also they've laid off... They've laid off the entire team that liaises with third-party publishers at Xbox.
The entire team? Is this known?
I put it in my article, but I don't know if they're gonna hand off those responsibilities to another team or something. But there was a team that handled that specifically, and they pretty much laid off the whole team. So they're thinking we can save money here, merge it into another team, But some of the stuff that they've been doing makes me think the product is going to be damaged as a result of these layoffs. They've laid off design teams at Windows. They've pretty much they've gutted HoloLens. HoloLens is dead. They literally 4 months ago they set up a whole department to explore industrial applications for the metaverse, which is stuff like the HoloLens deal for the military, right? Mm-hmm. They laid off that whole team. Whole team's gone. Hundreds of people gone. And they're laid off 250 people at GitHub. It feels like they've just arbitrarily said to all the leaders, we need 10% here, 10% here, 15% here, 20% here, blah 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 blah. And then they've just had to go and lay off people almost at random. I had reports that people were still in the process of moving to Seattle to take up a new role at Microsoft to be told they were laid off this week. They'd literally just got a job at Microsoft and then the next week been told they're being laid off. It just makes no sense. Very strange to me. But that's capitalism for you, you know.
Yeah, the third, the third, I like the HoloLens stuff. Don't care. Never gonna use HoloLens. Whatever. I only care about Xbox. So the idea of like them getting rid of the entire team that handled third-party relationships, which is sort of not good right now, especially Japanese developers. Right? You look at Square Enix. You look at Capcom calling Xbox other, and like the thing where you buy your games. There's a lot of indie. There was even like an indie game that showed off at a demo at the Nintendo Direct, Sea of Stars, which I think, and like they were like, oh, it's coming to all modern platforms or whatever. And then someone asked about Xbox, and they're like, oh, maybe not Xbox. And it's like, well, you said all modern platforms. Is Xbox not a modern platform? And maybe that's more ID at Xbox because that's more of an indie game. But sometimes I look at like the third-party relationships, and I see more deteriorating rather than strengthening, at least for some of them.
Exactly.
So like,
but maybe they're.
I don't know. Maybe,
I was thinking like maybe they're going to get an agency in or
possibly
consultant or
but
something.
then if
like
they get an
that
agency,
instead.
that means there'll be more leaks because agencies leak like a sieve.
That's good. That's
well,
good
it's good for
me.
you. But usually agencies seek like you know they leak really badly.
They leak like a
it's just
sieve. Yeah,
it's
they do leak.
I don't know. It's very
But maybe the like leaks don't matter as much as saving a bit of cash or something. I don't know, man. The layoffs are just sad. Really,
yeah.
like a lot of
and there's still more to go because they
have
said
been laid off
by the end of March, right?
Yeah, there's still more to go. Like this is the second wave, so there'll still be more to go. Anyway,
Keyshawn Thompson has been a member for 14 months. Says hello. Hope you have a good day. Hope you have a good day as well. So moving on from the Hogwarts Legacy, the Fable and Compulsion stuff, as well as the recent layoff stuff. Ubisoft Plus, you wrote an article about it, Jez.
Ubisoft Plus
coming soon,
yeah,
coming real soon.
Well, yeah, I mean, I suppose we data mined the operating system. Well, I say data mined. It wasn't really data mining when it's literally there, unencrypted in a folder. But the iconography for Ubisoft Plus is now up on your Xbox console, and this comes on the news a couple of weeks ago, which I think I missed this. But True Achievements discovered through their API access that there's like a load of games tagged for Ubisoft Plus support. And I think there's like 60 games total now that have Ubisoft Plus support. So now we have the iconography for Ubisoft Plus games on your Xbox. And we also have a list of games that are going to be included in the service. And it includes a lot of heavy hitters, Seems like it's going to be good. What we don't know is this going to be a tier of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate? Is this going to be a separate thing altogether? Maybe you get a discount if you got Xbox Game Pass Ultimate or something like that. Because, like, how do you know how it works on PlayStation? Because I don't.
Does what work on PlayStation?
Ubisoft Plus.
I want to say Ubisoft Plus isn't on PlayStation. It's that some of the titles from Ubisoft Plus are part of the PlayStation Premium tier, I think.
The Ubisoft Plus Classics or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
right?
but it's not
the full thing.
I don't think Ubisoft Plus actually exists as a separate, like EA Play exists on PlayStation. I could be wrong. Chat, let me know if I'm wrong. I don't think Ubisoft Plus is on PlayStation. It's just that the Ubisoft Plus Ubisoft Classics are part of one of the tiers. So,
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's got to be coming. I mean, they announced that Ubisoft Plus was coming to Xbox January of literally last year. It's February of the next year, 2023. Yeah. The store, like I saw True Achievement say the store has Ubisoft Plus tags. I've seen people like leak what the tag looks like. And there's also a list of games that are all there. So I would imagine the announcement's got to come real soon if all that stuff is being ready. So
it must be soon. Yeah. There you go.
Is anybody interested?
About that, really.
Because I don't think it'll be tied to Game Pass. I don't think it's going to be like EA Play where Ubisoft Plus will be added into Game Pass. I mean, it would be cool if it was, but I don't think it will. Is anybody here interested in actually subscribing to Ubisoft Plus? I believe it's $15 a month on PC. But I believe on PC, if you do subscribe at that level, you do get new releases free. EA Play also has the same thing where you get new releases as part of your subscription, but not on console. I'd be very curious to see if Ubisoft Plus actually does the same, where if you subscribe at whatever the highest tier is, you get the like new Ubisoft games with the subscription, or if this is just going to be like the old catalog. I'll be wondering. And everybody's saying no. You know, I'm not subscribing to Ubisoft Plus. I guess it depends on the price.
And you know my answer, right?
Yeah, we know your answer. So, yeah, I don't think I would either. It depends. Like, if they're like, and new releases are coming to Ubisoft Plus day one, maybe I would, just for when those games come out. But I don't know if that's going to be a thing, honestly. So there's that. Yeah, I mean, like, let's talk about the Xbox Activision shit. Might as well. If you guys are, haven't hit the like button yet, please do. It's free. It's in the bottom right-hand corner. I guess depending on where you watch it, just click it for us. Thank you. And if you're new, maybe hit the subscribe button. Geez, I don't even know where to even begin with this because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's the ongoing FTC stuff between Microsoft, where like Microsoft's trying to subpoena Sony's Sony's records, and Sony's been trying to quash it, and Microsoft's being like, they have some choice quotes about like this deal is about Xbox and Activision, but also Sony, and Sony doesn't want to comply with the FTC or Xbox. And I think Sony even said that this comes down to like harassment, like Microsoft is harassing them over this or whatever. Like there's this big brouhaha going on about like the FTC stuff.
Yes. It's wild, man. I mean, where do you even start? It's sort of like we had the before we had the CMA. So this week we had the CMA, the UK Regulatory Competitions Commission, whatever they're called. They came out and gave their assessment, their so-called in-depth assessment, their phase 2 assessment.
250 some odd pages, right?
Yeah. And we had, before that, we had rumors last week that Microsoft insiders were telling the New York Times, I want to say, Microsoft insiders were telling the New York Times that the CMA was going to, elect to block the deal. Microsoft denied that, or they said something like, "We expect this." Well, they kind of did it in a sort of marketing jargon. We expect the CMA will pass the deal, or something like that. I don't know. And then a couple of days ago, we had a mass marketing blitz.
Yes.
Of your boy Bobby Kotick.
Bobby Kotick accusing Sony of trying to sabotage the deal. Sony won't return their calls because this is normally the time they'd be talking about future partnerships and stuff. Satya even said some stuff about it, right? And that was my first thought was, oh, this is pre-damage control. Like
that's totally what I was thinking too. This is damage control. This is them, shaping narratives before the CMA gets out there and stuff. And like Bobby Kotick went on CNBC on Monday or Tuesday, I want to say, and he had some really stinging words, which were very, very easy to take out of context, almost threatening in tone when taken out of context. But he had to have known they would have been taken out of context that way. But he said, like, he was talking about Rishi Sunak, and I think like Rishi Sunak is the Prime Minister of the UK, and he's an idiot, and so there's no love lost between me and Rishi, but Bobby Kotick showed a fundamental misunderstanding of how the UK regulatory system works. I think because in America you can sue anyone for anything at any time, right? But that's not how the UK works. The CMA is independent of the government. It's an independent regulatory body that isn't it's not a ministerial body. It's not part of the government. It's not elected. And you can't sue the CMA. You can't appeal to the CMA. You have to work with them to, and they have the final say on whether or not a deal is going to impact the UK economy or impact the UK competition landscape, And for some things, the CMA works really well because, for example, the UK has much, much more broadband competition than America does, for example. Keeps prices low. Everyone's got unlimited data caps because you couldn't operate. There's so much competition in the broadband market in the UK. You couldn't possibly operate a broadband service that had data caps, So there's no data caps or anything like that. A lot of competition, very healthy, blah blah blah. So the CMA does do some good stuff, but on the flip side, they are utterly ignorant of all things gaming, and this was laid bare in their in-depth discussion about the whole deal. In their opening statements, there were errors and a display of misunderstanding about what gaming is, And Bobby Kotick kind of did accentuate this in his interview with CNBC when he said politicians don't understand our industry. They don't understand our business. They don't understand that this is a free to play business. And that was heavily evidented by the fact that Microsoft could increase prices for consumers. What? They're going to increase prices on Warzone? They're going to increase prices on Candy Crush Saga's microtransactions? What price increases they're talking about? They started talking about console price increases. So they think Microsoft with Call of Duty will increase the price of the Xbox and make Call of Duty exclusive and force UK gamers to play Call of Duty on a more expensive Xbox, as if that would ever happen. But not only that, but they implied that they think you need a console, to use their words, an expensive console to experience cloud gaming. So they said it could give Microsoft an advantage in cloud gaming, increasing the price of expensive consoles or something to that effect in the same sentence. So they think you need a console for cloud gaming, which is something you can experience on your fucking Samsung smart fridge for free or with a £15 subscription. They fundamentally don't get it. They fundamentally don't get it. Now, it's a good thing that they don't get it, potentially, because now we're in the next phase of the whole situation where they sit down with Microsoft and Microsoft gets the crayons out and the coloring books out and says, this is a video game console. And you have to hope that at that point, someone there will listen to what the reality of the situation is. You want to hope that. But there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee when you're dealing with complete morons that you'll be able to, get a solution at the end of the tunnel. Now, the CMA offered their own solutions. Their solutions were divestiture of Call of Duty. So Microsoft sells Call of Duty to someone else. I'd be okay with that. Yeah, divestiture. No, they don't. They're holding they're tying Microsoft's hands behind their back. We're like, it's ridiculous. Oh, wait, they can't hear you for some reason.
Oh, they
Sounds
can't?
back.
Oh. All right.
What the hell's going on with the
I
sound
don't know.
on this
I think
show?
something was up with Discord. Maybe I was coming in and out or something. But I didn't read too much. So basically, it says in its provisional conclusion, the CMA claims that the proposed merger would have a negative impact on both supply of cloud gaming services and the supply of consoles. Right. It claims that by buying Activision Blizzard, Microsoft would substantially reduce the competition that it would otherwise face in the cloud gaming market in the UK, which I think the focus on cloud gaming is kind of laughable, considering Microsoft's the only one out there really investing in cloud gaming to try to make it a thing. Where it's like they want this market to exist in the future, but for it to exist in the future, you got to invest in it now. And Microsoft's the only one investing in it now, and they're sort of being penalized because they're the only one investing in it now. And it's like this deal would give you too much of a lead. It's very similar to how the FTC viewed the whole Facebook VR thing that went on recently, where it was like, you're the only one. Yeah, because Facebook's really the only one investing in VR, right? And it's like Microsoft's really the only one investing in cloud gaming. But it's like Sony could easily do cloud gaming too. I mean, they sort of do, but they don't even put their own games in cloud gaming. So it's like Microsoft's being penalized for forward-thinking things about trying to bring a market to cloud gaming, and who even knows if that's actually going to be a serviceable market in the future, right? But the CMA is already saying like, oh, to reduce competition. It's because nobody else is trying to compete in that market. Like, there's no market for cloud gaming, so how can you say it would substantially reduce it when like nobody's there besides Microsoft anyways? Like, I don't know. I find that whole like line of thought just ridiculous. And they also say it also shows that evidence made available to them, including data on how Microsoft measures the value of customers in ordinary course of business, suggests that Microsoft would find it commercially beneficial to make Activision games exclusive to its own consoles or only available on PlayStation under materially worse conditions. And that Xbox and PlayStation compete closely with each other at present, and access to the most important content like Call of Duty is an important part of the competition. Reducing this competition between Microsoft and Sony could result in all gamers seeing higher prices, reduced range, lower quality, and worse service in gaming consoles over time. I mean, that's pretty much the crust of their argument, right?
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? It's ridiculous. Like it shows a fundamental misunderstanding of the reality, and that the ideology is leading the brain cells right now. It's like we need to fit this square peg in a round hole to make our arguments work. And unfortunately, there's no appeals process in the UK. I mean, Microsoft could maybe like go really nuclear and try and get the government involved and be like, look, this is ridiculous. What are you doing? And that's kind of like what Bobby Kotick's angle was when he was speaking to CNBC. He was like, he said that Rishi Sunak said that he wants the UK to be the Silicon Valley of Europe. And he said, well, it won't be the Silicon Valley. It will be the Death Valley if you don't allow fluidity in tech acquisitions like this. And he's completely right. He's completely right. The UK needs to show that it's competent with regards to the tech business. After Brexit, the UK is like become a investment dead zone. And if we can't show even a basic understanding of the biggest industry in entertainment on earth, how terrible is that for companies that were looking to invest in this country when the regulatory body doesn't understand the absolute bare bones basics after their so-called in-depth investigation? It just boggles the mind. But it's depressing because Microsoft has the law on its side. It has the facts on its side. It has the gamers on its side. Like the CMA literally surveyed gamers what they thought, and I think they said something like 75% of comments were positive towards it. They've got literally, you'd think, everything on their side. They're paying a premium for each share. They're paying $100 per share, and it's trading at like $70 now. They've done everything right. What's holding it back is the stupidity, which is why I get so frustrated about it. It's not even like, I'm not even sitting there like, I know Sony fanboys are like, oh, Jez is crying about it, he's emotional. It's not the deal that pisses me off. It's the stupidity, the second-hand embarrassment, more than anything now. I've sort of accepted, Rand, in my heart, that this deal probably could get derailed,
Uh-huh.
But it wouldn't be derailed because it was fair for it to be derailed. It'd be derailed because it's stupid, and the people who are regulating the FTC in America and the CMA in the UK are morons. They're either morons or they've got malintent. That's the bit that frustrates me. As a Brit, it's embarrassing. As a fan of tech, it's really embarrassing. These are the things that annoy me about the deal more than anything. Knowing full well that like it's going to cost me StarCraft, and then I just think to myself, well, I probably wouldn't have time to play it anyway.
Yeah, no, you make time for that. But so these were like their remedies, right? Essentially, a couple of structural ones. Basically, that they suggested that a partial divestiture of Activision Blizzard would be a solution, meaning like they could sell off the part of the business that deals with Call of Duty to somebody else, right? Sell it to, either way, whatever. You could sell off Call of Duty, you could sell off all of Activision, or you could sell off all of Activision Blizzard, because it didn't look like they had any problems with mobile. But they also did say that maybe behavioral remedies might work if you read the full thing, right?
Yeah.
That's
but the only ray of light here.
But like, there's been some kind of back and forth about the whole behavioral remedies thing. Like, did they really mean it, or are they just going to disregard it and go for structural remedies? So like, but there's a lot of people have a lot of opinions, and Michael Pachter, he came out there and be like, what he said on like his update to investors, and even on like an interview thing. He said that, quote, "We read today's release as a signal that the UK knows it has a losing legal argument. In our view, the FTC figured this out late last year and rushed to file suit to block the merger in hopes of being the first to extract concessions from Microsoft. We believe that the CMA reached the same conclusion during its review and accelerated its formal objection to the deal and proposed remedies in order to step in front of the FTC and gain bragging rights. The FTC has as yet to offer proposed remedies, and the CMA, by listing onerous structural remedies, has positioned itself to be the dragon slayer in this action." But then there are other people, like I believe, I'm not sure his name, Luke. He was on Mr. Boomstick's podcast this past week. He is a lawyer in the UK, and he's gone up against the CMA, and he talked at length about this deal, and I believe he said he gives this deal like a 10% chance of going through without structural remedies. So you have obviously people on many different sides. People that think the deal is completely dead. People that think, oh, they'll accept behavioral remedies, like the stuff they offered about like Call of Duty and maybe cloud gaming, things like that. And it'll go through and everybody will be surprised. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with this at all, really. I mean, the thing about Michael Pachter is everybody jokes that, oh, Michael Pachter said this, well, then the opposite's going to happen, right? And I like Michael Pachter a lot. I really do. In fact, maybe we should get him on Xbox 2 plus 1 at some point. I think that'd be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, maybe. But I don't think he likes me very much.
You don't think he likes you? What?
Yeah.
What did you do? What do you mean? What did you do to Michael Pachter?
He talked shit about me one time.
Oh.
I can't remember what it was.
Well, I'm saying it would be an interesting conversation, but everybody always brings up Michael Pachter and how he's wrong a lot. So people are saying, well, since he's in favor of the deal closing and says it's going to close, that means it's not going to. So I have no idea. Maybe.
Yeah, seriously, when Pachter said that, my heart sank.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it sounds like this deal's not going to happen. But, maybe it does go through. I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't even know where to put my money on it because, like, at least with the FTC, I was like, they don't have a case. Like they know they don't have a case. They're not even bringing it in front of a judge for an injunction. Microsoft would win that easily. But not so much with the CMA. I think they could maybe appeal to a tribunal of people at the CMA, but it probably wouldn't work. So unless they accept the behavioral remedies, I don't really know. It's not like Microsoft's going to pull their business out of the UK, right? Or offer like, oh, people in the UK can play whatever. I don't really know like all the ins and outs, but and that's assuming the European Commission just doesn't block it because they still have that one to go through, right? So I guess you have, like I said, a couple options. They can sell off Call of Duty, they can sell off Activision or Activision Blizzard, or maybe they accept maybe they accept behavioral remedies. I don't know what's going to happen. And anybody telling you that they do know what's going to happen is essentially lying to you, I think, because nobody knows. Everybody thought when this deal was announced that it would go through no problem, and look where we're at now. FTC block, CMA being like, no, you might have to sell off COD because of cloud gaming and blah 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 and all this stuff. So I just want it to be over. I just, Microsoft only has to February 22nd to offer potential remedies too, by the way. They only had they have all this time, and the CMA gives their decision, and they're like, by the way, you got 2 weeks to tell us and offer us some remedies. It's like, really? Right? Pactor still thinks this deal closes by May, which would be great because that would be before Diablo, and they could put Diablo in Game Pass. So I don't really know what's going to happen with this deal. All I know, I just wish Jim Ryan would say something because that would maybe make me more interested in making a video about the dumb things Jim Ryan says because I always find him super entertaining. Although Bobby Kotick saying that them sabotaging the deal and Sony saying that Microsoft is all that stuff's fun, all fun and good, but I don't know what's going to happen here. Now we do have a super chat that kind of deals with it. Not this one, but Banana Peel Jack says, I had my S98 OLED delivered this week, and I'm loving it. I can't see going back to a non-OLED TV again, and Xbox Cloud streaming is great. Yeah, once people go OLED, you don't go back. Incredible TVs. But we had a super chat here from Gunstar, who asked an interesting question about all this. He says, if Microsoft's divest COD, do they just have to sell the brand or the studios that make them? And I was having an interesting discussion with Jacquin, however you say his name, in DMs. He thinks Microsoft could just sell the IP. And I said, no, they would have to sell the studios too. So I'd be wondering, Jez, if do you think Microsoft would be, if they offer behavioral remedies and the CMA is like, no, we won't accept any of that. You have to sell Call of Duty. Do you think Microsoft would divest themselves of Call of Duty to make sure the deal goes through, or is that a non-sticking point? What do you think?
I don't know, man. I honestly don't know. Like, I would want to believe. You know what I'd want to believe, Rand?
What do you want to believe?
That we get Blizzard out of this.
That's the only thing you care about out of this,
Fuck
right?
the rest of it. Fuck the rest of it. Just get me Blizzard. That's what I'd want to believe. But is that the good business decision? I mean, Blizzard's the franchise. Blizzard has the franchises that are going to give you that mobile presence too. Your Hearthstones, whatever. Diablo Immortal, and also, even though it's this horrible gambling monster, it's making a lot of money. And also you've got the teams that can actually make mobile games. You've also got a MOBA there already waiting to be revived. You got StarCraft, which is, your PC angle. You got your Warcraft, which is your PC angle. And you've got Battle.net, which again is your PC angle. So I think there's a lot of value Microsoft could get just out of Blizzard. If they were like, okay, Call of Duty, you want Call of Duty? Fine, have it. We'll take Overwatch, we'll take Warcraft, we'll take all this, blah, blah, blah. That's what I want to believe. But I don't know, man. I think what's more likely is they probably end up just walking away. Maybe they're like, well, because at that point, if it does come to a structural remedy where they have to sell off, they have to split the company up, they're gonna have to renegotiate the whole deal with Bobby Kotick again. They'll be like, okay, well, we'll buy Blizzard from you. This is how much we'll buy it for. Say 40 billion or something, just off the top of my head. And, maybe King as well or something. You can have all this money. You walk away with Activision. And then we need to go back to shareholders again. How much are we going to give? How much are they going to benefit from this? Blah, blah, blah. Shareholder vote again. Basically, it'd be like resetting the deal. It'd basically be like resetting, and we go through this for another year probably, where they have to go back and forth. Shareholders, blah blah blah, bunch of more negotiations, blah blah blah, more expense, more having to pay the lawyers, more consultants, more this, more that, more documents, more fighting, blah blah blah, nightmare. So it depends what Microsoft really wants out of this. Was this always about just Call of Duty? Was this about the whole package? Was it about Blizzard? Was this secretly the plan all along? To get Blizzard and Warcraft and Starcraft and all that kind of stuff? I honestly don't know. So I know what I'd want to happen for me, selfishly. What do you think? You usually have the more level-headed take when it comes to this stuff.
I think they mostly bought this for King, even though most of the value is around Call of Duty, right? Microsoft talks extensively about breaking up the duopoly of Google and Android, or of Google and iOS, right? And King being the mobile thing that they wanted, and Phil saying that if Xbox doesn't have a mobile presence in the future, the business of Xbox is untenable, which means basically dead. So like they need mobile, right? And so there's a part of me that's like, okay, if you could sell COD, if you could get Activision Blizzard and you keep Blizzard and King, because I think in the order of things of the like importance to them, it's I think King first, Blizzard second, and Activision third, right? Because like you look at, like I said, what they've talked about with mobile, so King is paramount. But then Blizzard, with all their PC stuff they want to do about the growth on PC, about PC Game Pass, and like their entry into Asia and all those sort of things, those are all very important as well. Activision is literally just Call of Duty, but that's also huge as well, especially the idea of putting it into Game Pass and drawing subscriptions out of it. But if they were like, if we had to lose Call of Duty to gain the other two, is it necessarily worth it to us? And then if we were to do that, how would we do it? Would anybody want to buy Call of Duty? Like we were just selling Call of Duty. Is there somebody out there that would want them? And I think absolutely. I think EA would want it. I think Take-Two would want it. I think Amazon would want it. Right? If you're like, hey, we're selling one of the biggest IPs in gaming, who wants this for X amount of dollars? I mean, Take-Two doesn't have a shooter games as a service, because I don't really view Grand Theft Auto as a shooter, really. I think they'd be lining up. EA, I think, would be lining up to be like, oh, well,
I don't know replace Take-Two.
Amazon. I think Amazon would jump at it, because that would be their entry point, right?
It'd be Amazon and Apple.
Sony, obviously, Microsoft wouldn't try to sell it to Sony. I mean, it'd be funny if they sold it to Nintendo. That'd be hilarious, right?
Tencent and Epic Games could.
I don't think Microsoft would sell it to Tencent, because they've talked about that at length, about them being their competitors. But I could easily see them, one of those three, being very interested in it. But I think also you'd have to sell the studios. Because the IP is one thing, but a lot of the value of the IP is attached to the studios who make it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what good is to Amazon is the IP Call of Duty if you don't have any studios that could currently make it? So it's like, if you're going to sell the Call of Duty, you'd have to sell the studios with it. So like all 10 studios. Because if you sell it to Amazon or in these other studios, it would take them so long to get up to speed that you'd be missing out on a few years, and then by that point maybe there's something new that's taken its place. So like, no, you'd have to sell it along with all the studios, so everything still runs smoothly and you can still put out a new game every single year or whatever, right? Achievement says Embracer sold Tomb Raider but kept Crystal Dynamics. That is true. Every
deal is different.
Well, the Tomb Raider, we don't know if they necessarily sold the Tomb Raider IP or if they just sold the rights to like certain things to Amazon. But I also think Embracer's different. Like, they don't want to fund AAA gaming, so they'll be more okay with other people doing it. But with Call of Duty and how much it would cost to get the IP, with these other companies not having the studios, to work on it right away, it's like you would need the studios to do. But either way, that's like essentially a scenario that could happen or may never happen. So what are we really talking about, right? So I don't really know. And all I really do know is that I'm sick of all this. I want it to just be over. Either it's, It's going to go through and it's going to pass, and Microsoft has some behavioral remedies that they can offer about cloud gaming and about Call of Duty always being on PlayStation and Nintendo and all those certain things to pacify the regulators, or the people, they walk away or get it blocked. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I'm in Discords where people are discussing this constantly, and they're like, "Oh, it's going to happen. No, this is going to go through. No big deal. I've looked at all the cases and all this." I'm just, how do you know? How do you know? Like, you were all saying it was basically good to go, and you're gonna have no roadblocks, and then look at all these roadblocks. Nobody knows anything, essentially. I don't know. Jez doesn't know. These lawyers don't know. I mean, hell, you got Michael Pachter saying it's a done deal, and you got someone else who's a lawyer saying like 10% chance this actually goes through without structural remedies. I don't know. Like, and I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it because it dominates the entire discourse around Xbox. Right? It's just, there's this ever looming cloud over Xbox as a company right now, even though they just put out Hi-Fi Rush and it's incredible, right? And but that's the only thing that's really going on with Xbox right now, I guess, is that they released Hi-Fi Rush and it was incredible, and they had the developer direct. But everything always points to this because there's always something that's happening every single week, and it just drains me. Someone in our Discord even added me, was like, "Are you interested enough to make a video on this?" I'm like, I just don't care enough to really talk about any of that in an actual video. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but I almost dreaded today's podcast because I knew this was the big topic. Because I don't want to talk. I don't like this. I don't. It's all essentially over my head. Like, I'm not a lawyer. It's just boring and draining, and I'd rather listen and I'd much rather talk about Hogwarts Legacy, which we did. I think I talked about it for 20 to 30 minutes. It's just, I'm just so sick and tired.
You talked about some books.
Yeah, and I talked about a book. I'd rather talk about that. I'm just so sick and tired of the discourse surrounding Xbox Activision, the CMA and Sony and all this stuff. I am just fucking tired of it all. It's been going on for it's going on for a year, and I'm just I don't know. I guess,
I'm tired of it too, man.
We're
all tired of it.
I'm gonna make it. Let's see. I guess we'll go with. I'm gonna make a poll. Start a poll. Here we go. Do you still think the Xbox ABK deal will pass? I guess pass with minimal. What's the word I'm working for? Minimal restrictions, I guess. I'll just use restrictions, meaning, like the deals, the 10-year deal. Yes, or deal will be blocked. Because I'm interested in seeing how many people, are a little shaken after this whole thing with the CMA and the FTC. Anyways, yeah. Speaking of Call of Duty, because this is important to the ABK thing, the rumored expansion that was coming out this year, Call of Duty 2023, is actually a brand new game. Tom Henderson at Insider Gaming basically said that they've turned it into a new game with the new campaign, and it sounds like Sledgehammer Games is the one doing it. So much for skipping the year, Jazz. So much for them going bi-yearly.
Who said they were going to skip the year?
Well, Jason Schreier. So they had said, Jason Schreier reported that they were skipping because Treyarch was supposed to be up next, and they were putting their game out in 2024. And then he reported also that there was some sort of Call of Duty premium content supposed to be launching this fall. And even in their financial quarterly calls, they would say we have a Call of Duty premium title. And Schreier had said that it was like a campaign that was tied into Modern Warfare 2 and it was like multiplayer stuff. But it basically was Call of Duty Modern Warfare year 2, and they were going to charge $60 or $70. But now Tom Henderson is saying no, it's not Call of Duty Modern. It's not year 2 of Modern Warfare 2. It's like a new Call of Duty. That may have some ties to Modern Warfare 2, but it's got a new campaign, multiplayer. He's even leaked the beta dates, because it has PlayStation marketing. So the beta, weekend one's October 15th for PlayStation users. Weekend 2 is open to everybody, and blah 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 blah. So it even has the dates for this stuff. So there's a brand new Call of Duty game, you know. So much for skipping year after year, right? So it makes too much money to skip year after year. And there was the new 360 emulator, Jez. I don't know if you saw much about this, but
Xenia.
Yeah.
I covered it. I haven't tried it because emulators have legally dubious in the UK. So I don't know if it's legal to emulate a game even if you own it. Because it comes under version shifting, which I think is banned or something. I don't know. So I haven't tried it because I don't want to even risk that in my life. But in America, in some states in America, version shifting is legal. So like if you do own a game, you are allowed to version shift it into a different form or back it up. Maybe it's a gray area too. I don't know, but supposedly Xenia UWP runs a whole bunch of 360 games pretty well. The website is Xenia XENIA.jp. It's a GitHub project if you want to go and try it out at your own risk, of course. Check the legalities of local laws, but it's a pretty cool project, and it's just another it's just emblematic of how cool the Xbox is when it's running Windows, that it can do some of this kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't suppose you'll be trying that, Rand, because we all know you only play trending games, and no 360 games are trending these days.
I guess so. Johnny Sin says, when is Scalebound coming out? Never. We also got a Scalebound reference.
Never.
Morgan Williamson says, sell COD to Valve in exchange for Half-Life 3. Jonas the Dad says, sell COD to EA, sign a 10-year Game Pass exclusive deal. Face23BKNY says, doesn't Microsoft want King more than COD? I believe they do. Mobile's super important. Ricardo says, Rand, while you were away taking the important phone call, Jez told everyone you were talking to Jim Ryan giving away your Xbox insider secrets. What? How could you? How could you?
It's true, bro.
No, I had a family emergency as usual. When the number called, so whatever. It's fine now. So yeah, let's get some questions from the fine folks at patreon.com/XB2. Because there's a lot of them. There's a lot here. So if you guys can do us a huge favor, make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already, and make sure you subscribe if you're new. And let's go. So we got one from Birdman. Who says, if you guys were in a boxing match, what song would you come out to? Huh.
Oh.
I've never thought about that. What song would I come out to?
That's really interesting. I did see recently that I think it was a UFC fighter. I can't remember. I think he wanted to come out to some Halo music.
Okay.
But they played like the song with the same title by Beyonce or something.
Ooh.
So like he wanted. I think the song. I think it was literally called Halo or something. But he wanted to come out to Halo's music, but he ended up coming out to a song called Halo by Beyonce or something. He was really confused.
The Halo song from Beyonce.
Yeah. I think that's what it was. It was something like that. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I would come out. I don't know what I would come out to. Jez is kind of dropping from Discord or whatever. I don't know. Something's wrong with his internet. Something's wrong with the internet, bro. I guess.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Can you hear me now?
For whatever reason, I was just thinking this, and I'd have to look at the songs, but the ending, the Mass Effect's Fontis song at the end of Mass Effect 1. I'd come out to that, but I'd have to think really hard about what song that I love that pumps me up. But that Mass Effect song, the ending song, really does kind of pump me up. I do listen to that on occasion. But yeah, I don't really watch boxing or MMA, so I don't know what songs people use. But let us know in chat.
I'd come out to
what song you would come out to.
What would I come out to? I think I would come out to. I'd come out to Elite by the Deftones.
Elite. Okay,
by
you
the
do
Deftones.
like the Deftones. Maybe I'll come out to like a Slipknot song, or maybe like a Korn song, or but then I also like, would I come out to a Pink Floyd song like Money? Like have Money start
Oh,
playing,
you know,
Money, you know?
money, money, money. You could do. You could throw your opponent by coming out to something like the
Oh,
Pokemon theme song.
what about Edge's theme song from WWE, where it's like starts out with "You think you know me," and it's like
Oh yeah,
that's really
you
that's
think you
always
know
like
me?
one of my favorite, like WWE, like entrance songs. I always like that. Um, someone says "One Wing Angel" from Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, that could be a good one.
Chopin's Raindrop Prelude.
Yeah, I always like it when people come up with these interesting questions. So we have one here from Silas who says, "I hope I'm not straying from Xbox too much with this, but it's been on my mind, and bringing Rand's spirit animal to the forefront may bring some laughs. So most Xbox and PlayStation fans can't stand the PR department's Man of the Year, Jim crying line, flying dance move, Saving Private Ryan." Oh, awesome. It's easy to mock him for his constant foot in the mouth gems, but isn't he really doing an amazing job of what he's been paid to do? He is. Yeah, I mean, PlayStation's
He is,
more
definitely. Yeah.
making a ton of money, and it sounds like their strategy of trying to block the deal is going over extremely well. So yeah, he's doing a great job, and he's bringing all his games to PC, which is also really great. I can't think of another time where PlayStation is financially vibrant as it is now. The gaming side he seems to leave alone to Herm and Holst, and he just focuses on gouging his PlayStation consumers. From a gaming perspective, he's clueless, but as a CEO, he seems to have an eye towards shaking that money tree for shareholders. What do you guys think? Are we as gamers overlooking what these leaders' main role is? And while Phil is a gamer, understands the gaming side of things, is his business acumen where it needs to be in order to drive financial growth? Was pouring all the money into 343 really a good business decision? I was just trying to look at things from a more business perspective rather than a game view.
Now, I will say, I think Microsoft has, honestly, some serious structural issues, and a lot of the issues that Microsoft has, and this isn't just an Xbox thing; it's a Surface thing, it's a Windows thing. It's because of their structure. It's because of the rigidity and their inability to react, to sort of make the changes that need to be made or do the things that need to be done to accomplish what they want to do. Because I don't want to say it's because of complacency, but it's almost like nothing really matters to Microsoft. Their business is so diversified that they can sink like hundreds of millions of dollars into 343 and then write it off because it's no big deal to them. It's no big deal. It's almost like they're too successful. They're too successful to the point where they're complacent, in some ways. I think like the sort of the sense of Sony has a sense of urgency because PlayStation is the vast majority of its tech business, or pretty much all of it. Back in the day, Sony used to be quite diversified. Like they had the TVs, they even made laptops. They still make TVs and phones and cameras, but it's diminished. PlayStation has engulfed everything at Sony, and they have a sense of urgency that I think Xbox and Microsoft don't have. It's like if Xbox completely died, it wouldn't affect Microsoft's share price at all. In fact, it might even go up. There's been activist shareholders for years saying Microsoft shouldn't be in the gaming business, and they want Microsoft to be IBM, just business stuff, Azure, blah blah blah. I think and stuff like HoloLens, they sunk hundreds of millions of dollars into HoloLens and the mixed reality stuff. Complete waste. The only reason that they went so hard in that is because there were people at Microsoft who had so much political clout because they'd been there for so long and they were seen as geniuses and stuff like that, that they were given so much free reign to make these ridiculous toys like HoloLens, which ultimately amounted to nothing. I actually had the first version of HoloLens. I had a unit at my house, and it was like, this is a cool toy to use once, but the letterboxing on it was so narrow. It was like you can do it now. If you hold it up to your eyes and like sort of make a little square right over your eyes and close your other eye. Make a little square with your fingers. That's what using HoloLens was like. It was like all your vision you could see, but the only holograms you could see were in that tiny little postage stamp in your eye. While meanwhile you're wearing this huge headset, which was admittedly comfortable, but it's just like, why the fuck would I wear this when I've just got a laptop? Got a fucking laptop. I don't need holograms headset. So Microsoft can afford to waste all this money, whereas Sony can't really. Sony has to be on the ball. They have to be very good, and they have to be very dynamic, and they have to be very willing to do what needs to be done to ensure the continued success. Because Microsoft isn't like that. They've got Azure. They've got Windows monopoly. They can make infinite money forever, and it doesn't really matter if all this other stuff just ticks along. If 343 was under Sony, I think they would have sorted it out way quicker. They probably sorted it out now, but I don't know.
Well, you hope it's sorted out. But I mean,
yeah, I hope it's sorted out.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the revenue of the business since Phil took over, it's basically gone up to like points where it was, higher than anything Xbox has ever done. So like Phil's definitely helped the business tremendously.
It has.
Xbox just isn't PlayStation. So that's really,
I think Phil's in a tough position, and a lot of people are criticizing Phil lately, But at the end of the day, Phil's kind of done some of the things that need to be done to put Xbox in a better position, like buying ZeniMax and Bethesda. We haven't really felt the full force of that deal yet, even though it's been years. Pandemic really put the brakes on things. But, some of it is the sort of corporate sort of structure that Microsoft has, and I think like one of the things I often hear Microsoft criticized for is the lack of sales reps. Sony has like an army of sales reps where they'll be like, when a new console's released, they'll be in every retailer talking to retailers and being like, this is the PlayStation, here's everything you need to know about it. And they really love it and they're really passionate about it. But Microsoft doesn't really have that DNA of selling hardware themselves, which is why they lean so much on OEMs like HP and Dell to sell their laptops. Surface is just like a side project, and that declined by 40% the last quarter. Because Microsoft doesn't really invest in that aspect of its business maybe as much as it should. I don't know, but it's that's a good question. But it's a difficult topic, and a lot of it's just guesswork because I ain't inside Microsoft. It's just sort of like what you can see on the outside, and we try and piece together a puzzle based on conjecture and conversations and stuff like that. But clearly, like even like disregarding the fact that me and Rand, we like Phil personally because he's a cool dude and a good guy, but empirically speaking, when you look at the budget sheet, Phil has grown Xbox exponentially, and he inherited a mess left by the Xbox One launch, So I think Phil deserves more credit. And, we always talk about how long we're waiting as Xbox fans, yeah. But I think there needs to be a little bit more room for more patience. I think after this year, after Starfield drops, and we finally get this ABK stuff out the back door, one way or the other, I think things will be better. But we'll see.
Jay Prim has been a member for months, says 30 months. He says Barbie Girl Song is the song he would come out to. So there's that. And the vote, we have basically 500 votes. 75% of the people still believe the deal will go through with minimal restrictions. 25% say the deal will be blocked. I should have actually added a third option about structural remedies. But 75-25. So, yeah, thank you guys for voting in the poll. Let's take a look at the next question over on Patreon. We have Austin Sellers. He says, in regards to the mid-gen refresh topic discussed with Grub, do you think that a digital-only Series X with additional terabyte of storage makes sense? Which, by the way, if you haven't listened to that interview with Grub, it's up on all the audio platforms as well as on Jez's channel. If you want to check that out, it's
Yes.
available to
Yes.
everybody. I mean, first we got to figure out if mid-gen things are actually happening, right? Or if
Yeah.
they're just going to be slim versions of stuff. Do I really think a digital Xbox Series X will work? I'm gonna with an additional terabyte of storage. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say it wouldn't work.
I really do think that the future is external disk drives. Probably.
Potentially, yeah. Because if you're gonna make one without the disk drive, while you're also they have a hard enough problem making the Series X's as is, let alone two different versions of the Series X's, one with the hard drive and one without. And I don't really think removing the hard drive is going to save that much space or whatever, so it'll be that much like smaller, right?
Mm.
So I sort of feel like in this gen, probably not, because then you would have they probably would discontinue the one with the disk drive, and then you would have two digital consoles. And I think that's really too early for people to fully accept a digital-only future. I think one of them would have to be packaged with whatever that PlayStation is doing with a disk drive that's plugged in, right? But yeah, maybe next gen they could go in that regard with all digital consoles with optional disk drives. But I don't think that would work this gen. I'm still not even convinced there's going to be mid-gen refreshes or at least better systems. Like I don't still think there's a 20 teraflop Xbox Series XL on the horizon in 2025. Maybe there is. I don't know. I mean, even now, you look at Hogwarts Legacy, and that has problems running on this gen of consoles already. We've seen some of these, like Gotham Knights, not running at 60 frames. Like, we've seen some of these games already run into issues, and I don't know if that's because they got to make sure these games also run for last gen. But you figure with how powerful both the PS5 and Series X is, we wouldn't really be seeing that much, but we are. And maybe that's better when the fully next-gen only games come out, like Starfield and stuff like that. Or maybe it doesn't, because I don't expect Starfield to be 60 frames. So I don't know. Do we need... Maybe we actually do need another mid-gen refresh. To be like, oh, we're going to sell you the PS5 Pro, the PS5 again, as well as the Xbox again. I don't know. Be interesting to see what happens.
Yep.
Plus, the additional terabyte of storage, that's super expensive as well. That would definitely raise the cost of the console. And it doesn't really seem like their storage stuff is getting cheaper, judging from how not often the Seagate stuff is on sale for big amounts. That's the thing that needs to happen, is they need to offer more additional storage types from different companies, so the prices on those things come down, because the prices are ridiculous on the storage expansion cards. Like,
yeah, I'm
absurd.
planning to write about that soon. Because it is ridiculous.
William Gaminsky says, any news on Ghostwire Tokyo? None so far, but we're assuming it'll come to Xbox late March, early April. Because it was basically just same thing with Deathloop. It was like the next day they could talk about it, they did, and it was coming out the next week. So look for more news about it towards the end of March. Gooey Cheese 42 says, what's the angriest you've ever gotten at a game? For me, it was when I was a child and got stuck on Jimmy Neutron game on GameCube. I got so mad that I took the disc and destroyed it. In my defense, I was like 6 or 7.
Oh, damn. I can answer this really easily because I know off the top of my head what it is. It was actually Final Fantasy VII, the original. Yeah, because it was my first ever RPG. I didn't understand stats. I didn't understand the effects the materia were having. I never even found that tutorial. There's like a building opposite the seventh heaven, or whatever the bar is called, where it gives you a proper tutorial of how materia works and stuff. I never experienced that. I didn't understand how materia worked at all. So I just thought oh, these are power-ups, So I basically slotted green materia into all my characters and basically made a party of glass cannons, basically. And also, I was skipping all the random battles. I was skipping all of the random battles because I just thought, oh, well, this is a waste of time. And you hold the shoulder buttons, you run away, right? So I sort of limped through the game doing that, having really bad gear, having really bad builds and having underlevel characters, and it was fine until I got to the what's it called now? The Temple of the Ancients. Do you remember that with the weird
Mm-hmm.
music and the fog and stuff? And then there's a dragon in there. Killed the dragon just about somehow, and then I fought the Demon's Gate. Right. So I think it's called the Demon's Gate, which is basically like this monster in a wall, and I think it's like a classic Final Fantasy monster. It's in like loads of games. But this boss had like it did all physical damage, and it was like resistant to magic. And I basically had a party of 3 black mages, and he was just one shotting my whole party with that sort of cave-in ability. I got so mad. I remember like squeezing my PlayStation controller and like twisting it in my hands and then throwing it and smashing it. I've never been that mad at a game before or since, And then at some point, I worked out that like, oh, if I take all my material off, I got way more hit points. I do way more physical damage, and I just sort of meleeed him to death. So I did work it out eventually. But boy, I remember being really angry at that. I think I was about like 11 years old or something. But yeah, that's the most angry I've ever been in a game. I presume yours is probably PUBG or something like that.
I don't really get angry at games very much.
No?
I mean, I get frustrated if I have to like retry a bunch of bosses or a boss fight or whatever, but I won't ever get angry. Like it would have to be it would have to be like Halo 2 stuff. Or younger. I remember me and my brother, we both were like I'm going to say we're both gamers, but like the presents the presents that I would get on the Nintendo or the Super Genesis were also his, right? Cuz he's a few years younger than me. And the thing is, my brother, his kind of thing that we still make fun of him now is that my brother hated sharing a lot. He like if he got it, if he it was well, he was also like the third kid, so he's the third kid out of 4, so he was like right in the middle, but he was like the later middle kid. He hated sharing, so like anytime he got something, he would throw a hissy fit if he had to share. So like we would get these games and we would play, but then sometimes he would throw a fit, and then like I would get angry. And I do recall there being a couple times where like he wouldn't let me play the game he just got for his birthday, and like me getting upset at him because like the Nintendo was my gift. So more about like that, being angry with that than being like angry about like something that happened in the game. But maybe I'm in like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, where I tried to like beat all the bosses without getting hit. And there was that one. There was an achievement. Yeah, there was this one that literally took me like 2 hours, and I was just like losing my mind because I was like, I know what I'm supposed to do, and I'm not being able to do it, and it's like, fuck, you just get frustrated. But I never like threw a controller or anything like that. But there are definitely moments where it was like, it felt like you're wasting my time. But I was an achievement hunter back then. It was like, I want these achievement for beating these bosses without getting touched, because like it's difficult. And so it's like 2 hours, the same music constantly repeated because you'd have to restart it if you got touched, and just getting more and more frustrated about it, right? But no, it was something with my brother being like not letting me play something or whatever. Ryan Kipple says, I know we're in the diet mindset, but what's your favorite packaged snack? Personally, Cheez-Its are my vice. Not sure if they have that in Europe, Jez. Cheez-Its are amazing, and that would be one of mine. That or like Lay's potato chips I would go to, or Ritz crackers. Oh God, give me a nice sleeve, an entire sleeve of Ritz crackers, and just eat them all. Those.
What do you put on them?
Usually just don't. I mean, sometimes I'll put cheese on them or like salami on them maybe, but like sometimes I just like, I'm hungry. I'll just grab a whole sleeve of Ritz crackers and just eat them all, bro.
You eat them without putting anything on them?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. Well, we don't have Cheez-Its in Britain. I think. Oh, actually, maybe we do. Hang on. I just need to look this up. I think have we got a different brand for them or something? Cheez-Its. I thought. Oh no, we don't. I thought maybe we called them Whatsits, but Whatsits look to be something different. No, we don't have Cheez-Its in the UK, as far as I know. Um, but my favorite snack is probably I just like salted nachos a lot, and
Mm.
then like have like some hummus dip or something. Hummus.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Canada
I don't know.
PI2 in the super chat says, any news on the new EA Fight Night? You guys rock. I don't
I don't know anything
know
about
nothing
that.
about it. Sorry. Although
Sorry, mate.
I am interested in a new Fight Night. Alvin in super chat says, angriest I've been is the brute chieftain on the third wave of Harbinger fighting Halo Infinite on Legendary. Why is he so mad?
Oh man.
Very, very mad brute chieftain. Danny Pease, what do you expect to see from Xbox after new info? What do you expect to see from Xbox E3 after new info? I mean, new announcements, release dates. I mean, maybe release years for some games. I mean, I expect to see Hellblade 2 and Avowed, at least. I expect to see something announced from Bethesda. I mean, I don't know if that screenshot's anything to go by, but is Evil Within? And I mean, I can't imagine Evil Within is going to be announced. That would mean they got Ghostwire Tokyo done, and Hi-Fi Rush, and also then was able to announce Evil Within 3. I don't know if that lines up. But I could easily see like maybe a gameplay trailer or something of Indiana Jones, Compulsion. Just like there's definitely things that could be put out there, but just wait to E3 for that, I guess. Ethan says, with the summer showcase coming up, I've been thinking about what I would love to see there. While I personally am not a huge fan yet of State of Decay, I think it's almost a necessity to show this game soon. With all the controversy hype surrounding the day before, I think Xbox would benefit greatly to show a co-op AAA zombie survival game. There is clearly a demand in the market right now for a game like this, as the day before has crazy wishlist numbers on Steam. If a game has so many false promises and red flag continues to get coverage, I can't help but think what a positive light State of Decay 3 would get in comparison. I can already see the article headline saying State of Decay 3 is the day before if it was real or something like that. What do you boys think?
I'm literally going to steal that headline.
You
Thanks
should.
for that, Ethan.
Yeah, steal that head. Write it down. Write it down. Get it.
Yeah, write it down. But yeah, I honestly didn't realize that people were taking the day before seriously. I thought like it was just commonly known that this wasn't some sort of asset flip scam kind of thing. Like that gameplay trailer they put out was like literally just a shot for shot knockoff of other trailers and other stuff like that. So yeah, I think there is clearly there is a lot of zombie survival games, but a lot of them are really janky or kind of lame. And the idea of having one of those kind of games like polished on the scale of the Division or something, like even though the Division, the way they've handled the live service hasn't been particularly great, no one can argue that Division doesn't feel good to play. Like it feels polished and it feels nice to play. And I think like the kind of game that State of Decay is lends itself better to that kind of environment. Like one of the things that always bugged me about the Division is that you've got an RPG, you've got a tactical shooter that's also an RPG. So you've got a tactical shooter where headshots don't really matter. Like you'll get enemies that are basically bullet sponges, and you're there pumping full clips of bullets into this dude's face, and it doesn't do anything. I think thematically the Division has a fundamental problem. Whereas you don't have that problem with the zombie game, because you could say, yeah, you pump a full clip of bullets into the zombie's face because he's a zombie. So it kind of works a little better. And I think people have been yearning for that kind of experience for a long time. So I agree with you. I think like State of Decay 3, if it totally nails, if it's anything approaching that CGI concept trailer, it could be a really big deal. Dedicated servers, high quality animations, more granular base building, better online features and all that kind of stuff, because clearly there's something good there. They've just got to execute and have the budget to do so. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for what that could be. But we don't know. We don't know much about it,
I think,
unfortunately.
yeah, I mean, the hype surrounding the day before is like how good it looked in those initial trailers. And now that it's like looked worse and worse, I think some of the hype's wearing off, especially some of like the, the things surrounding the game of maybe it not being real or maybe it not being exactly what it is. But State of Decay 3 would have to look really good to get people to be like, oh man, like I can't wait to play that. And maybe it will. I mean, if they can nail what the CGI trailer announcement was. I mean, they already have like the systems all in place, so it's possible. I mean, it's just we need to see what the game actually looks like and how it plays like. But the thing about the day before was it kind of looked like the Division met with like an, you know, like a zombie apocalypse where I'm not sure State of Decay is going for that vibe where it's like you're in the, you know, I don't know. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what that game looks like. I don't know. Maybe we'll see it this year. Who knows? Achievement says, ever since Brexit, the UK and the EU have had tension between them. Do you perceive that the EU could push through the ABK deal because of the CMA's block? And if the CMA remains the only objector, couldn't they proceed with the merger and tell the CMA to sue?
I think the EU... See, the EU is one of the only regulators who have actually shown a genuine understanding of the industry, according to Microsoft. So I don't think the EU is kind of... I don't think the EU would be petty like that, you know, with regards to CMA and stuff like that. I think the EU will approve the ABK deal because there's a lot of workers from Blizzard who are based in the European Union, and I think they might have a perception that they'll get a better deal or better treatment under Microsoft. I don't know. But that kind of idea is kind of damaged by the layoffs we've had recently. So it's really tough to say. I don't think that the CMA's behavior will affect the EU's decisions. I think the EU is probably the only one that will go based on facts. I trust the EU to do a better job than the UK. We'll just have to wait and see.
Indeed. Chris Pernice says, Rand and Jez, if you could make one food have 0 calories without losing its taste, what would it be? Mine is chunky peanut butter because that shit is my kryptonite when dieting. Pizza. Pizza.
Yeah, pizza.
Pizza.
Mine would be mature cheddar cheese. Easily. I can eat blocks of that.
Bro, I could eat pizza all the time. If it was 0 calories, bro, give me pizza every single day. I'm loving it. Omen says, I'm apologizing for this question in advance, but I think it has to be asked. What does the future of Xbox and separately the future of ABK look like if the acquisition does not go through?
That's a deep question. That's
very deep.
Yeah, so it'd be tough to do your question justice here, but I am planning to write about that soon, and I'm kind of researching what that could look like and what they might do. I don't think Microsoft's really thinking about it in that mindset right now. They're thinking like, you know, that the deal will go through, but you have to presume there's a chance that it might not, right? And Phil did say it'd become untenable if they didn't have a mobile presence, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of contingency plans being put in place for mobile right now. Like Microsoft isn't spinning up their own mobile teams or whatever. So they're just looking to acquire. So that's a tough one. I'm going to answer that with more depth in an article soon, Omen, but I don't know if you've got any thoughts on it, Rand.
I mean, I think ABK needs the deal more than Xbox does. Because what does it look like for them? Because it almost sort of feels like the yearly release of Call of Duty isn't sustainable. And to them and the stockholders, like, they need to have a Call of Duty every year because that's a lot of revenue to give up, right?
They need an exit. And I think there comes a point where a company grows so big, the only way that you can get a return on that investment is if it joins a bigger company. I think Activision's got to that point now.
Well, it's like
they are the biggest.
Well,
and they can't get any bigger.
Activision just makes all these different games, and now they only make one game, right? Because it's like you spend all these money making games, and you want a nice return for your investors, and it's like Call of Duty's it. Like, that's all they really do. But, like, you look at the future down the road, how does that progress? Like, if you have to switch to every other year Call of Duty and you lose all that revenue, well, then your stock price isn't going to do very well. So it's like they probably needed a first party to, like, back them, but then the only ones that could really purchase them are Xbox. And, yeah, if the future of Xbox looks amazing if they can grab them, even if there won't be, COD will never be exclusive and always be multi-platform, mainly because like there's no backing away from Xbox, from Microsoft at that point. You spent too much money, you're too invested, right? Where it's like you're basically locked in for mostly forever at that point, right? And it answers a lot of their problems. Like you get mobile, you get a great PC developer to help you on your PC angle, and the revenue, like it would be shot in the arm injection wise for revenue, and they could do a whole lot of different things. So I would say the future of ABK, I'm not going to use the word bleak. If the deal doesn't go through for them, it would definitely, I think the future would be difficult. Whereas like with ABK, I think Xbox's future is exceedingly bright. Without them, it's a little bit more cloudy. Because then you have to find a replacement for King, and how much of that $70 billion that they'd used would they let Xbox actually have? Because I know there's this whole fantasy where everybody's like, oh, well, if the deal doesn't go through, they can use that $70 billion and then go spend all this money on third-party exclusives and timed exclusivity and deals and go get Capcom and go get Sega and go get more. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's a dream of just sticking it to PlayStation guys, being like, well, you Sony guys, you wanted this deal to fail. Well, now you got what you wished for. It's like a monkey paws thing where it's like, okay, the deal's blocked, but guess what? Now Microsoft is aggressive and they're out here spending the $70 billion. Now you don't have any games, and we got all the publishers now. But I don't think that's how this is going to happen. Microsoft would definitely have more targets for things. But like I said, like Jez said, this is a really more in-depth thing, which we would go at length in if the deal actually doesn't go through, because then it would be very appropriate, right?
Yeah.
So, Beethoven says, why do you think that Microsoft hasn't purchased Asobo? Not only have they proven to make fantastic cinematic story-driven games like Plague's Tale and technology-complex games like Flight Sim, but they also have done a lot to help develop Azure, the Azure Connect, and HoloLens 2. Or is it just obvious answer of not wanting to acquire anything while the Activision stuff is in the works?
Yep.
Could be that. Could be like, maybe they wanted to acquire him earlier, but they just didn't have the pipeline for it. Like Matt Booty was new to his job and didn't want to add more to his plate. But certainly the Activision deal has a lot to do with it right now. I think you need to get a certain affinity when this deal's done. You need to get Asobo when this deal's done. There's probably other studios that, that you're working with that you can go grab, but yeah, I mean, that's essentially the answer to that. I think Activision stopped all that stuff, and maybe even some of the like when they were doing Bethesda. CJ9AD93 says, "Hey guys, PlayStation fans, boys seems to be more concerned with the Xbox and the ABK deal than the fact PlayStation has a game showcase in nearly 18 months. How long do you think it will be until these fanboys start complaining about PlayStation instead of focusing on Xbox, or will it never happen because they're so bitter inside?" Man. That is a loaded question. It is a loaded question. Any PlayStation fans that are listening to this, do you feel bitter inside? Also,
some of them definitely are.
Do you talk more about Xbox than you do PlayStation? Because there's definitely some of those that do. That they're more about talking shit about Xbox than talking about PlayStation.
But I think Jeff Grubby Grub announced or revealed or leaked that there's going to be a state of play next month, I think. Or he said towards the end of February, start of March, maybe. I think he also said it was going to be a smaller state of play. So, they've been waiting a while, but it sounds like they're going to get one. But at the same time, they're just like God of War, So there's sort of like, there's still like a high. They're still coming down on a high from that. Whereas like Xbox fans, we've had a hi-fi rush, but
could really just be like they didn't do one because none of their first parties were ready to show anything.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they just they don't want to bolster the Microsoft's arguments.
There's that too. But I mean, I think they'll eventually have one. I mean, because outside of Wolverine and Spider-Man 2 and Last of Us Factions, you don't know what any of their other studios are doing. So I would imagine at some point you'd have to do a showcase to show everybody the future of PlayStation first party.
Mm.
You know, it's just that the future, like last year, it was kind of set. You didn't really need to do one. They did a few state of plays that were mostly focused on third-party stuff, with some first-party announcements like Stellar Blade being published by them and stuff like that. So, and he also says, we all know at this point the CMA is completely stupid or just plain corrupt. How can they not see that Microsoft is trying to open gaming sector to make it more inclusive to everyone? Microsoft are the ones that push forward cross-platform play. Sony has no interest in making cross-platform a thing and want to close market, using their power to bully and manipulate. Wait, that sounds familiar from somewhere. Yeah, we talked a little bit about that. Well, actually, a lot about that before. A lot of it's politics, especially with the FTC. Some of it, like Jess says, is probably a complete misunderstanding of the actual video game industry and everything that goes into it. But I mean, maybe you make the argument that Sony played a great game. You know, they're out there protecting their business interests, and maybe they just had the better lawyers with the better arguments that people listen to, which is odd because it's like you're protecting the market leader's position in that regard. But it is what it is. We'll see what happens from it all. Elijah says, almost 3 months ago, Xbox announced, after receiving negative feedback about the UI and other things in the preview rings, that they would, quote, to create a more personalized home screen experience and address some of the top trends and fan requests. Literally almost nothing has changed. The same top requests have been posted every thread for nearly 90 days now. Why do you think they haven't implemented anything yet?
This is an interesting question. I do wonder if maybe some of this is because of the layoffs and they're doing restructuring and stuff like that. I do know that some of the layoffs have been in the platform team. I don't know. So it definitely feels like the dashboard development cycle has slowed a lot since the days of Mikey Barra running it.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that's because a lot of the engineering budget or bandwidth is heading towards xCloud right now and other things. So I don't know. I mean, they've heard a lot of the requests and stuff like that about more personalization and, you know, being able to see your dynamic backgrounds and not so much tiles and ads all over the place. But I think it is just a case of bandwidth right now. And I guess they just don't have a lot for the dashboard because I suppose their view is people don't see the dashboard. They go from the dashboard straight into a game and then that's it. And that the dashboard itself doesn't really matter too much. And it's hard to agree with that mentality because, like, how much time do you actually spend on the dashboard per day? Like 5 minutes? Something like that? I don't spend a lot of time on the dashboard. I just jump straight into a game and forget about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that when that new dashboard was announced, they said it was the data mining said it was like targeting, it was supposed to come out in August, which is some time from now. But you're right, they really haven't done much to really address some of the changes, a lot of the feedback. It's like all they really did was like, oh, your pins are back, but they're underneath one layer of suggestions. And they added a search at the top and the suggestion button at the top. And they've like lowered the boxes a little bit and shrunk them a tad. But other than that, like nothing's really changed. So I don't know. Did priorities shift? It's possible priorities changed. Because, you know, I think that's also a thing. Like, you know, they said the DVR was something that they were going to look into and all these sort of things. But maybe it was a priority before, but it's not now. And maybe they're happy with the dashboard as is, and they're going to just, slightly add things. But like looking at the dashboard now, it's like outside of shrinking everything and making the background like more visible, it's like I don't know what else they're gonna do. It almost really seems like this is gonna be the final iteration, but it is a little disappointing in that regard. Governor Grimm says, do you guys think Microsoft has any appetite to divest COD and or any of its associated devs to get the deal through? If so, which devs would you prioritize they keep out of the Activision deal? Who takes the top spot, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, or Treyarch? I mean, we talked a little bit about this. I guess it really depends on how badly they want the deal to go through, and if the CMA is basically stuck on no behavioral remedy is going to change this, you need to divest COD. And if that doesn't make them walk away, or if they feel like fighting that in court or the tribunal isn't worth it, and it was like, okay, we can divest COD, what do we do? It's like which it says which devs would you prioritize they keep? I would imagine they would have to sell them all. Like Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, Treyarch, Raven, they'd have to sell them all to whoever buys them. Because just buying one isn't going to work. Because the whole thing about Call of Duty is it's every year, or at least every other year, and you're not doing that anymore. So I think they all go. If you had to ask me which one I would keep Infinity Ward, personally. But if you're asking me if they were selling them, which ones would they have to sell? They'd have to sell every single one of them. I don't think they could keep any of them.
Yeah.
Gabriel Munez says, with the Dragon Age leak and talks of Fable in a playable state, do you think we could get these in 2024? What if Avowed drops alongside them as well? 2024, the year of the fantasy RPG? Keep up the good works, fellas.
But I thought 2024 was the year of survival horror. But I don't think Dragon Age is this year. I think Dragon Age could be maybe next year.
Well, he says 2024.
Oh yes, that is next year. Yeah, I think maybe Dragon Age could be 2024. I think Dragon Age and Avowed could be 2024. Fable, I want to say 2025 maybe for Fable, but I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I kind of just have in my head Fable's 2025. So
yeah, I have that in my head too.
And same thing with Dragon Age. I don't really think Dragon Age is 2024 either.
Yeah, maybe.
But what do I know? It'd be cool if it was. I mean, I saw the leak. Did you see the leak?
I did.
Deaf people aren't happy with that leak.
Yeah,
some people aren't.
I spoke to some sources about it, and apparently that is old footage, but and it looks a lot. People I spoke to said the more recent versions are a lot more polished. And initially when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, they're getting rid of the tactical gameplay and all that kind of stuff. And it was compared to Final Fantasy 15, which freaked me out because I thought Final Fantasy 15's combat was awful. I know there's people like it, but I thought it was terrible. So I was sort of nervous about that. But then I spoke to some sources who are familiar with Dragon Age Dreadwolf's development, and they said they're taking some inspiration from software. So like more physical feeling combat with, hit stop attacks and stuff like that, where like you can feel your weapons connect and that kind of thing. And that like the tactical gameplay is out, and that it is going to be more action oriented, but like you'll still be able to use your party's abilities and combo with them or something. And like the way they were talking about it made me, pretty excited about it, to be honest. So I'm going to keep an open mind. And this is the problem with leaked footage, is that you don't really have all the information at your fingertips to sort of make an informed decision. So I'm sort of trying to keep an open mind about it.
Okay. We have one here from Parker Petroff. Hello from Minnesota, Jez and Rand. I believe in the end Microsoft won't have to divest itself from any part of the Call of Duty, but it's always fun to play a little what if. Reading through the CMA proposed remedies, the first option is divestiture of the business associated with COD. Every take I've seen on this has been that they would need to sell or some of the studios associated with Call of Duty. However, the requirement is only to remove the assets of Call of Duty, not inherently the underlying staff or studios. So could you see Microsoft selling the Call of Duty IP to Ubisoft, EA, or Take-Two with a 5 to 10 year agreement that Activision was continue making the game while they ramped up teams to overtake the IP, similar to how Microsoft Xbox divested itself from Bungie and then Bungie made another Halo game before moving on? As this would then mean Microsoft could keep all the studios that did work on COD to make other games to feed the Game Pass machine while separating itself from Call of Duty. Do you think this is possible? And if the Activision Call of Duty teams were free from Call of Duty, what would you like to see them produce? I mean, if they were freed from them, I would like to see them produce whatever they really wanted. New IPs, AAA games, whatever. I'd love to see what Infinity Ward could make. Even Treyarch, for that matter. Like, High Moon Studios was making incredible Transformers games. Toys for Bob, they could go back to... Toys for Bob, have them make a Banjo game. Why the hell not? Right? That's like the dream. And I guess I didn't really think about that, about the idea of, like, you sell the IP to somebody... and then Microsoft still keeps the studios, so it's basically a licensing deal. Like, so they're making the games. The Xbox owns the studios, and they're making the games. And then Ubisoft is similar to Embracer, I guess.
Is
what
a
Embracer,
publisher? Yeah.
I mean, I get maybe. I don't know. It would be and I don't know if that's what happened with Bungie. I think they just, as part of their deal with Bungie to leave, I think they signed it like, you can leave, but you're doing 2 more games with us before you're fully independent, which was ODST and I believe Halo Reach. It wasn't that like, Bungie bought back their independence or whatever. I don't think, they divested themselves. And it was like, okay, well, guess what? You're going to still make 2 more games for us before you get out of here. I guess it just depends on how badly Microsoft really wants to go through. And if they can't convince them that behavioral is the way to go and they really want the deal and they have to, I think I've said that quite a bit. So, but new IP, I would love to see from any of those studios. Bearded Tate says, no question this week, just thank you for the content, guys. Well, thank you for saying that, Bearded Tate. Appreciate you. Pab is Wise says, which is better, plates or bowls? Bowls. I usually put all my food in bowls. I don't know, that's just me. Maybe I'm weird. I like bowls.
I like bowls.
I like bowls.
I like plates. I like both.
Gooey Cheese says, Tinfoil Hat Theory, do you think the original release for Metroid Prime Remaster was supposed to be February 22nd? But they saw how well Hi-Fi Rush's Shadow Drop went over and decided to copy that strategy?
That's an interesting idea, actually.
Yeah, it is sort of interesting. Like, was it supposed to be announced? I mean, it's possible, right? Maybe
they maybe they were just like, let's give this a go, drop the digital version, it's ready anyway.
Yes.
I think that's pretty possible. It's pretty plausible, to be fair.
Sleet says, hey Jez, I'm hoping I can ask somewhat maybe a tough question. Since the ABK deal was announced, you voiced your thoughts about the corrupt nature of politics in the UK. I admire your willingness to speak your opinion, but do you have any concerns about these statements being used against you in the future? I asked due to recent examples of democratic government's ability to shut down free speech, freezing dissenters, bank accounts, etc. in more recent years, and especially since the early 2020s. Keep up the good work and thanks.
I ain't worried, because at the end of the day, I ain't costing anyone any money, by talking shit about the government. Our audience is mostly American, so what does the government care what I say at the end of the day? I ain't even vaguely worried about it. I think I'd be more worried if it was like, I don't know, I was sabotaging. If I was whistleblowing corrupt contracts, for example, I might be a little bit more worried. But even then, there are like really famous journalists in the UK who are constantly whistleblowing and constantly investigating corruption in the UK, and nothing happens to them. Because even though the UK is corrupt in terms of, politicians they do a lot of insider trading, which is the same in America, I don't think people are being killed for it or silenced for it or arrested for it. I think they're just sort of, bending the rules so they can make money, So it's a very different kind of corruption than what you see in Russia, for example, where like mysteriously 20 business leaders have fallen out of windows in the last year. It's a very different kind of corruption. So yeah, I don't know.
Achievement says the best company to give COD to is Steam in the super chat, by the way. I don't think Steam would even care. Why would they care? Why would they care? But I think that's end of the show. Jez is basically about to fall asleep. He's in the Discord being like, I'm about to die. So that's going to be the end of the show. We won't take any questions from the chat this week, but we definitely will next week because Jez is going to make sure he takes a nap before the show, so he has a lot of energy. So
I thought I did all right.
You did all right, but you definitely were fading there at the end. So thank you to all the amazing patrons at patreon.com/XB2 for submitting those questions. We do have the Xbox 2 Ultimate coming up next week on Tuesday. So look out for that. And we will be doing an Xbox 2+1 later in the month, trying to figure out who would be a great guest. DM me your guys' thoughts, or maybe Jez can put a post up and see. We definitely have some ideas, but we'll definitely put that together at the end of the month. So thank you to the Patreons. Thank you to the Manscaped for sponsoring the show. You can always use the code XB2 to get 20% off and free shipping if you want anything from Manscaped. And with that said, hope everybody has an incredible weekend. Play some games. I'll be on Gaz's show tomorrow, bringing the sauce. So back-to-back podcast for me. And with that, we're out of here. Keep it gaming, guys. Love ya.
Take care, everybody. Peace.